Mo kí ìyá mi Dominican, grandma ńkọ́ ṣàlàáfíà lọ́wọ́. Azeez Mori ń bẹ̀. Àníṣe Yorùbá nation no going back ni. Àníṣe méjì, aṣẹ̀wọ̀nú ìgbàmí ètò ni. Ẹ jókòó, ẹ wá nǹkan tútù, akúkú ti ṣínú àwa tá gbà wá tẹni tó gbà. Mo kí tèmi gangan wà látà, òkú àwọn àlejò tiwa tí wọ́n ṣẹ̀ wọlé dé, wọ́n káàbọ̀ sórí ètò. Mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tìlú Ghana, ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò. Mo lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ mo kí bàbá wa Emeritus Professor Adébánjí Akíntóyè. Èèyàn kan ní my grandfather used to listen to this music while he was in Lagos Island. Wọ́n ní gba Lagos mọ́ wọn lọ́wọ́ láṣẹ ìgbìmọ̀. Mo lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ mo kí bàbá mi Kúnlé Ṣítà, ẹ káàbọ̀. Bàbá mi ò sẹ́nì, mo fẹ́ dọ́dọ̀ yín tán láìpẹ́ nílùú Italy, ó kù díẹ̀ náà ni. Ama BTC, welcome on board. Good evening to you, Yoruba Duty. I love that name. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, mo lè má kí ìyá mi ní gbogbo ìgbà nítorí pé tí ó bá jẹ́ pé mo rọ́mọ kan wọ́n jóná ní Kwara, ọmọ Kókó kábíyèsí Elédùmarè nílẹ̀ Yorùbá, ẹ lọ sórí koikimedia blog, ẹ rí níbẹ̀. Àwọn ayẹni mo kí yín dáadáa, mo kí ìyá mi tó pè mí pé Kóìkì, àwọn nífẹ̀ẹ́ tó pọ̀, àmọ́ àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ kan máa ṣẹ́nu kò díẹ̀díẹ̀, mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín. Èmi jẹ́ ọmọ tó ń gbọ́ràn, ẹ bá ti ń bá mi sọ, màá máa gbọ́ràn, àmọ́ ṣé Yorùbá nation no going back. Abíọ́dún Lexi mo kí ẹ ń bẹ̀. Mo kí grandma Lé Àjàyí, ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, ìyá ẹni ni ìyá ẹni á máa jẹ́. Ọmọ Kókó wọ́n jùrù ní Kwara State nílẹ̀ Yorùbá, kí ló wá dé báyìí? Bí ọba ń wọlé Yorùbá, ẹkún á máa gbọ̀nyàn ní gbogbo ìgbà. A ti jẹun, a ti sùn, a ti mumi, a ti ṣínú fáwọn tá à ń gbàwẹ̀, àtẹni tó gbà akókó lòun gbà náà ni. Bàbá mi Akínládé Emmanuel mo kí yín. Mo kí ẹ ń bẹ̀ gbogbo àwọn koikimedia team tó ti wọlé, mo kí yín, ẹ kú ìtọ́jú Kóìkì, ẹ̀yin lẹni Kóìkì o, èmi kọ́ ni mo ní. A very good evening to our Biafra brothers. A máa mẹ́nubà Biafra lénìí. Àwọn ìlú wo ló sọ̀pọ̀tì ìjà Biafra ní 1967? Gbogbo ẹ̀lẹ́ máa gbọ́ lálẹ́ yìí. Ètò pọ̀, a máa dé North Korea. Kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀ níbẹ̀ lálẹ́ yìí? Ọ̀rọ̀ ń bẹ lẹ́nu Kóìkì ní gbogbo ìgbà. Bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ti kúrò lórí ètò, èèyàn tó lọ ṣe research tí máa fi bá yín sọ̀rọ̀. A máa dé North Korea. Àwọn ìlú wo ló sọ̀pọ̀tì Biafra níjọ́ náà lọ́hùn? Àwọn ìlú wo ló sọ̀pọ̀tì Nàìjíríà? Gbogbo ẹ̀ la máa gbọ́ lálẹ́ yìí. Adétòkunbọ̀ Táíwò, very good evening. Ìjà ṣe ń rántí ọmọ ẹni tí à ń ṣe pẹ̀lú gbogbo àwọn ọbalẹ̀ Yorùbá. Ìjà ń rántí ọmọ ẹni tí à ń ṣe. Ìyá mi Àbíbá ẹ̀ tí sùn lọ́dọ̀ yín lọ́hùn. Ẹ̀jẹ̀ ò pààyàn lójú ẹrí, tó bá fọ́kò lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ báyìí àyà mi máa ń já ni. Àwọn kan ní no sleeping nígbà tí ìran Yorùbá ò tí ì lálàáfíà. A máa polówó àwọn tí wọ́n fẹ́ jẹ́ kí Yorùbá kú lọ, a máa pa yín jẹ ni o. Wọ́n ń bi mí pé kí ni mo gbójúlé, mo ní mo gbójúlé Elédùmarè, mo gbójúlé gbogbo àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá tó mọ̀ pé òtítọ́ ni mo gbé dání. Àwọn ìlẹ̀kẹ̀ kan wà tí wọ́n bá rí lábẹ́ àwọn bèbèbèdí kan nínú àwẹ̀ Koikimedia. Mo kí yín bẹ́ẹ̀, Adésánmi Films TV. Àwọn ọ̀pá kan wà tó bá jálẹ̀kẹ̀ dín yẹn báyìí, kábíyèsí Elédùmarè, àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá ìkan ń bẹ nídìí Yorùbá. Ànáwó àti Fúlàní àkínṣe kankan náà, ẹja kúrò láàrin ara wa. Kí ló ń pa máa BTC lẹ́rìn? Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni àwọn bèbèdí kan wà. Ẹ mọ̀ pé àwọn ọmọ kan wà tá lé títí ní secondary school, àwọn ló ń lé wa báyìí nísìnyí, a dẹ̀ ti níyàwó. Sọ́ńkì mórí ẹ̀ ń bẹ̀ kí ló ń pẹ́ lẹ́rìn-ín Richie Yonki orúkọ yẹn kó dàbí orúkọ yẹn dàbí orúkọ àwọn Japanese yàrá yún orin yìí fẹ́ tán wípé kó má tán ni mo wá kí gbogbo yín pé ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò rántí ọmọ ẹni tí wọ́n ń ṣe o my name is Olami Koiki o lè má ti pàdé show yìí rí sórí Facebook is a big platform má wá síbí má búyàn tó bá tẹ̀ máa wá fẹ́ búyàn má bú Ìgbòho má bú bàbá Akíntóyè o lè bú bàbá tiẹ̀ o lè bú ìyá tiẹ̀ lórí program kò sọ pé kò ní da fún ìyá mi bò má wá bí kò wá bú bàbá Akíntóyè má wá bí kò disrespect the platform this is not a blogging platform ìyàwó mi nígbà tí mo wà lórí bẹ́ẹ̀ ó ní kí ni mò ń ṣe mújà èmi náà mò ń yanjú náà ni mo wo platform kan àwọn èèyàn máa ń cut oríṣiríṣi fídíò mo á ní wọ́n tẹ̀ lo fídíò tèmi wọ́n ní lo fídíò tèmi nítorí pé wọ́n mọ̀ pé is an educational platform so kò sí nǹkan kan tó fẹ́ rí cut níbẹ̀ nítorí pé wọ́n mọ̀ pé tèmi sọ ó yàtọ̀ sí ọ̀rọ̀ àlùfàǹṣá tó ń sọ káàkiri lórí social media thank God for social media thank God for Mark thank God for Elon Musk thank God for Twitter thank God for YouTube Koiki ọkọ gbogbo girls bẹ́ẹ̀ ni wọ́n bí mi pé ìyàwó mélòó mo ní ó pọ̀ lọ́wọ́ mi bàbá tó bí mi gan fẹ́ wọn dáadáa ni Yorùbá nation no going back ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò ẹ rí i pé a tètè bẹ̀rẹ̀ lálẹ́ so I want to relax and get into the program mo kí ẹ̀yin ẹ̀gbọ́n mi Mr. Kẹ́hìndé Òsénì mo kí yín ṣe ń gbúrò àwọn ìyàwó àtọmọ ṣé ọkọ wà lọ́nà tó jí ẹlòmíràn kọ́ máa ìyàwó ẹ̀ wọ́n máa ṣeré oge lórí WhatsApp video call ó yá ṣe báyìí kò tí mọ́jọ́ tó máa rí ìyàwó yẹn ẹlòmíì kẹrẹ níbi tó ti ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ bọ̀bọ́ kan wà lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ náà tó ní ó yá dá mi lóhùn Mr. Kẹ́hìndé tó ti bá sọ̀rọ̀ ìbí kádì lòún wà òun sí lọ́rùn kò sí tòsí èmi wà tòsí kábíyèsí nínú màrí. mọ̀mísí mi ní ọ̀rẹ́ pọ́psí wa kan lẹ́yìn tó lọ sí Mecca kò travel lọ anywhere a ní kóhun travel kí ìyá àwọn kú kóhun tó dé kóhun travel kí ìyá ẹ̀ kú kó tó dé but lẹ́ni nísìn so many of us have travelled and we've forgotten home ọkọ wà lọ́nà tó jìn ìyàwó wà lọ́nà tó jìn Ọ̀túnba Adékúnlé yìí ti gbórí wọlé ìyàwó wà nílé ọkọ wà nírìn àjò àwọn méjèèjì baálé mi ṣe ẹ̀ tí lẹ́lòmí mi ò lẹ́lòmí o ẹ̀yin nìkan náà ni o mo gbọ́ ẹran pé mo ní mo program Oríyọmí Hamzat àti bàbá tó ní Fúlàní jí gbé tó ní Fúlàní òjì òun gbé yẹn kí lórúkọ àfáà yẹn ẹran bí lórúkọ àfáà yẹn it was in Ibadan just about few days ago tó ní Ọlọ́run ní jẹ́ kí Fúlàní jí òun gbé o bàbá yẹn wá ní ó dìgbà tí ọkọ bá kú ìyàwó máa mọ̀ pé ọmọ pọ̀ níta Buhari ọmọ Buhari ó náà wọ ọkùnrin ó dìgbà tí ìyàwó bá tọkọ yẹn bá kú tán ọmọ Musa Buhari onígbà tọkọ yẹn bá kú tán ó ní ìyá ẹ̀ mọ́ ìyá ara ní ó yá ṣe sùúrù àwọn ọmọ wa náà ní gbogbo wọn Ọlọ́run tóbi lọ́ba Yorùbá nation orí ètò tọ̀sán yìí náà ni a tún fẹ́ mẹ́nu lé lórí. I welcome those of you that have joined us so far. Bọ̀ká tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ tó máa ń fẹ́ láìkì kí n kọ́kọ́ gbé orin bá mi wọlé but ẹ mọ̀ pé orin Káyọ̀dé Fáṣọlá la gbé wọlé but tí n báyìí tí gbọ́ Ìgbòho yẹn ara mi ò kì í yá gágá Buhari ọmọ Musa ọkùnrin mi báyìí nísìn Ọlọ́run pé ó ṣàánú àwọn ọkùnrin but ibi báyìí orí Yorùbá nation la mú dání. Let's listen to this and coming back. ọmọ Yorùbá lápapọ̀ tìlẹ̀ tó kó ẹ̀mí àpọ̀ ẹ̀bá nǹkan wọn adéyẹ mọ́. Sunday Adéyẹmí Ìgbòho orúkọ ńlá tí ń jámọ̀ láyà kí ara orúkọ tó ń dẹ̀rù wo lórúkọ náà. ọmọ Yorùbá ẹ má sọ torí pé ìwòra a kò lè fojú dé gbogbo láyé títa ríro lọ́dà pẹ̀lú àkúrà tó máa dán alànà kọjá dandan o. ọ̀wọ́n ẹni ní má bẹ̀rẹ̀ wọ̀nà ẹ̀dá kan
lè ṣì wà lọ́nà mọ́ ẹgbẹ́ àtìmọ̀ṣọ́ kan ká lè débi rẹ̀ ẹgbẹ́ àjọgbárùkù ti Sunday Igboho Igboho ṣá ọmọ Igboho mọ̀rẹ́ nínú alágbàdo òde ọmọ atapẹ̀tẹ̀ wọnú omi ọmọ dèdèrè wodò sọ̀yà ìsọ̀yà òrẹ́ràn bàbá yín láyé yìí omi kò sí náà tán sí yín lẹ́nu ọmọ òkúta mẹ́ta òkè Igboho ìkan ṣe yí ní dábọ̀dàbọ̀ ìkan ní mọ́ rọra ìkan tó kù nígbà tí wọ́n mọ̀ Igboho mọ̀rẹ́ kí ló dé Igboho mọ̀rẹ́ sí ọmọ òkúkó sọ́ràn ìgbàgede Igboho sùn wọn lálàìsí bẹ́rẹ̀ wọn ní kó ní bẹ̀rẹ̀ ó máa kó bẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ ẹ̀sìn òní bímọ méjì ní Igboho mọ̀rẹ́ ẹ̀sìn bàbí wọn méjì ní Igboho á ti kọ̀kọ́ kó sí amúkan yòókù bọ̀ sọ̀yà á tún mú yàrá tí ò lọ́rọ̀ gbọ́ á fi ṣẹ̀rù wálé wàrà mòdì ọmọ onílé ọ̀la àwọn àjèjì tó ń ṣẹṣẹ dédédé tọ́láwọn oníbomi kò sí mu wọ́n láwọn oníbomi sọ̀yà wẹ́sẹ̀ gbàdúrú obìnrin kọ́ gbogbo wọn náà sáré bomi kò sí mu wọ́n sì bomi sọ̀yà wẹ́sẹ̀ ọmọ abẹ́rẹ́ mẹ́ta òbí ayé ọ̀kan ṣẹ́ ọ̀kan tẹ̀ ọ̀kan tó kù ní gbogbo ayé ránṣẹ́ kiri gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá Sunday Igboho onílé rẹ̀ láéláé torí àbálá tó nìkan ń dá òkúta òṣèṣe fún wọn o ìmọ̀ràn lásán ni ti balùwẹ̀ ó kọ́ sí ti gbódòdó láyé yìí ó kù díẹ̀ kíkan gbòmí láéláé ìtọ́ nílé lómi Sunday Igboho arógun máti tó ń jà fẹ́tọ̀ Yorùbá ní ilé tó kọ́.
And let's play our beautiful children.
No going back. Igboho Òòṣà. Iṣẹ́ rẹ̀ tẹ̀síwájú. Mr. Tango kì í ṣe àwọn ọmọ mi kí i. Àwọn ọmọ mi kí i o. Lágbára Ọlọ́run, a máa dé èrè lórúkọ Jésù.
And a very good evening and welcome to the live transmission. My name is Olayomi Koiki and I say good evening and welcome as we continue to give all the reasons why we want to exit Nigeria. A lot of Nigerians probably might not really love Nigeria to break, but my job is to tell you that Nigeria is not worth saving. We should allow Nigeria to dissolve. We should allow Nigeria to break and get a smaller country. And it does not matter how small the country is. Let us just get the hell out of Nigeria. So welcome to the program. It could take 3 hours, 4 hours, depending on the conversation. If you're in a hurry, if it's not the platform for you, you don't have to sit inside the platform. So don't waste your time and your energy. You can find other things to do because there's a lot happening around the world. The world is so big, very, very big. So if you are not somebody that wants to be here, please, you don't have to. But if you sit down here, you can pick something away. Mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tiwa ní tilẹ̀ Yorùbá, mo kí ọmọdé, mo kí àgbàlagbà, mo kí gbogbo wa pé a tún káàbọ̀ sí ètò KOIKIMEDIA, where we discuss, ẹ má bínú, I know my concentration is not, because one of my system needs a bit of yeah, and I think we're in already. Yeah. Welcome to the program. Hi, Bomi, Abadada, Bomi Fatai Ogumefu, Eshigoni, thanks for joining. Maureen Grace, Mama, Lalubarika, Yawa Grace Senior JP, Moki Njaro, Moki, Antimi Kento, Moki Ogboini, different part of the world. Ọlọ́run jẹ́ kí èmi sọ pé torí èmi ni mo wá ń sọ̀rọ̀ kíyàn wá jọ rẹ̀ lójú, it's of no use. Tẹ́mi ò bá ṣe, ẹlòmíì máa ṣe. Èmi ṣe kò mí pé ẹlòmíì ò lè ṣe jù mí lọ. But I am doing my own little bit láti enlighten àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá. Ó wù mí pé ká gba Yorùbá nation kí ìtàjẹ̀sílẹ̀ kó má wáyé. Kò dẹ̀ sí tí Elédùmarè ò lè ṣe. Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń bá wa sọ̀rọ̀, tí ẹ̀ ń fún wa ní ìmọ̀ràn. May is good, welcome on board. Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ìyá mi kan tí máa ń sọ pé first bank. Wọ́n ní Kóìkì ọmọ mi. Jọ mo bẹ́ẹ̀ ni, mo ní mo ti gbọ́ mọ́ mi. Bẹ́ẹ̀ dẹ̀ ṣe sọ ẹ̀ náà ni, bẹ́ẹ̀ ti ṣe sọ fún mi, màá múṣẹ. Wọ́n ò ní kí n má sọ̀rọ̀ o, but ẹ mọ̀ pé àwọn ìmọ̀ràn kan wà táwọn àgbàlagbà máa rí láti fi jẹ́ kí àwọn ọmọ kéékèèké báyìí láti fi kọ́gbọ́n. So, and that is why I always ask for your feedback, because your feedback, you know, also helps us. Kò ṣe dandan ni pé everybody kó agree pẹ̀lú platform yìí, but I lè gain one or two things láti fúnra wa ní ìmọ̀ràn. Kóìkì, mo fẹ́ràn ẹ, but you know, but I just want us to be on the right path. Mo kí Mr. Yemi Fatoki, bàbá yẹn ò lè má sẹ́ndì láti Nàìjíríà làwọn wà. Àwọn èèyàn wà Nàìjíríà tí wọ́n lè fún wa ní nǹkan. Even as big as it is, it shows that not everybody is involved in the fraudulent country that tó yẹ pé owó Nàìjíríà lọ fẹ́ jí. Mo kí Grandma Felicia, àwọn máa ń bá mi fi Yorùbá ṣe ọ̀rọ̀ jáde. Èmi máa wá ń struggle. Ẹ mọ̀ pé Yorùbá mi ò dá púpọ̀ láti lè kà, bọ̀ mo ń gbìyànjú. Mo kí Yàwá Yèyé Oge, mo ní tí n bá dárúkọ gbogbo èèyàn, àwọn méjì kan mo nífẹ̀ẹ́ orúkọ yẹn tó pọ̀. Yèyé Oge àti àǹtí mi Ìwà Pẹ̀lú Ẹwà. Mo kí bàbá wa Kenny. So we're gonna go into the program. Ṣe láìkí àkókò tí mo dé. Níbo ni ká ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ lálẹ́? Parí ọ̀rọ̀ dollarization yẹn lánàá. Mo kí ìyá tó bèrè lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí. Mo rẹ̀ kí àwọn ọmọ mi náà. Wọ́n kú rọ̀jú. Wọ́n ti ní short break nísìnyí. Àkópalẹ̀mọ́ ọdún lọ́tùn lósì àti Easter àti gbogbo ẹ̀. Let's go into the program. So I'm going to go through my back end. Tí bá ti ń sọ pé back end, ẹ mọ̀ pé a fi máa fi kàn wọ́n lẹ́yìn nìyẹn. So OBS ni mo fi ń stream, in case you want to know. And if you have anything you want to let me know, you can always email info@koikimedia.com. Wọ́n náà pé email address mi ó máa ń jáde nísàlẹ̀. Ẹ máa lọ sórí website wa, ẹ lọ sórí Twitter wa. There's a lot of engagement that goes on. Àwọn kan wọ́n lè máa wà happy pẹ̀lú àwọn post wa. Platform mi ò kí ń ṣe Booker joint, kò dẹ̀ ń ṣe Àmàlà joint. It's a media platform. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ expect pé torí mo ní mò ń gbé Yorùbá nation dání, mo gbọ́dọ̀ sọ nípa news ní. No. We have the right as a media organization to touch on any news within Nigeria, outside Nigeria, and around the world. I am not sure on blogging platform. Àwọn kan máa ń wá ibi tó dùn àbí tó wà controversial àbí yẹ controversy àbí ibi tó ó yẹ nísìn òun làwọn máa ń wá. You might not like my utterances. I understand. It's not the kind of thing tó fi máa gbọ́ lẹ́nu ọmọlúàbí. Ó kì í ṣe ọmọlúàbí tó mi. Mo mọ bí tí mo lè sọ̀rọ̀ dé. According to the UK law. But sórí pé à ń jàjàngbara, let me say this, gbogbo utterances mi is nothing that has gone above the par. Mo ò ní kẹ́ lọ pààyàn, but a máa pààyàn tó bá pa wá nítorí pé a ní right lábẹ́ òfin international law. Àìtí dé stage yẹn. I pray we don't get to that stage, but prayer yẹn mo máa ń fẹ́ jẹ́ kó dàbí pé kíyàn má pọ̀ sọ ni. I'm going to start from the Biafra war. There were few countries that supported Nigeria níjọ́ náà lọ́hùn. And there were also countries that did not support Nigeria, some for their selfish gain, like France. We start with Dr. Ugo. Then I will then take us into the other part as well. Once again, a very good evening and welcome to KOKIMEDIA live. It is a Friday, so this is a live transmission. Mo kí ńbẹ̀ yẹ̀kínní, mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tá wà ní òkè òkun, mo kí gbogbo ìjọ pátápátá, mo kí àmì Sẹ̀kínà Ọmọwùnmí. Ẹni tí báyìí tí kì í, ẹ má fi ṣèbínú. Let's listen to Dr. Ugo. Ǹjẹ́ irú ogun tó ṣẹlẹ̀ níjọ́ náà lọ́hùn, ṣé tí ogun bá bẹ́lẹ̀ ní Nàìjíríà lénìí? I don't know, but màá fi Twitter, Ọlákúnlé, I saw your tagging. Mo máa ń follow bọ̀bọ̀ yẹn, 99% oppressor, but I saw that you tagged me. Kí ni United Nations vehicle ń ṣe ní Nàìjíríà? Ṣé wọ́n smell nǹkan ni àbí wọ́n kàn dá àwọn mọ́tò yẹn padà sí base tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n wá ń gba South East kọjá? There was a convoy of United Nations military vehicle and some other things. Maybe they are going to the north because of the IDP, or maybe they are preparing for something. We don't know. But I will show you the video later on in the program. Let's get my first video in. Ẹni tó bá ní data nílé, ẹ má ṣe bínú. Bí a ti a bá parí program, ẹ lè wá download ẹ̀, ẹ lè gbọ́ dáadáa. Let's start with this video of Dr. Ugo.
They wanted to be separate from the country that the British Empire had imposed on us, which was this country of Nigeria, where they kind of took a bunch of independent nations who don't have anything to do with each other, don't even speak each other's language, don't relate. Many of them were even enemies and warring at the time. Smushed them all together and drew these arbitrary lines around them and called them countries and named those countries.
Right.
And said, now y'all get along and do a country for us and be a union for us. And then go through contentious, bloody independence processes that never really yield any real independence. You're still part of a Commonwealth afterwards. True. And you have the eternal meddling in your affairs and the eternal extraction of your resources. And the eternal fomenting of divisiveness and infighting in order to be able to control you. This is what an oppressor does, a colonizer does. These are tactics and strategies of dominance.
Right.
We were subjected to that as a larger unit of Nigeria. And then when the people said, we want our own thing, let's go and do that. Well, it so happened to be that the territory that this new country of Biafra was going to be in included very, very rich oil reserves. And the British were not going to let go of that.
Wow.
And the people that they had put in power, their puppet Nigerian governments weren't going to do that either because they needed it for the Nigerian project.
Right.
And
Britain
needed it for its own interest.
1 minute. Emma Bino, let me pause that video.
So
I guess there's an echo coming through. 1 minute. Let's pause the video.
In this civil war.
Let's get the
And in the war for independence.
Sorry about that. The reason why there's an echo, I had Emma Pangbo, Kayo de Fashola Lolenkon, and that's why the desktop was bringing the echo. So we're gonna pull it back, and then we will go into the program again. I'ma replay video here. Once again, apology for the echo that was coming through in that video. So we're gonna play the video back again, and this time around, I can assure you the echo would have come out.
They wanted to be separate from the country that the British Empire had imposed on us, which was this country of Nigeria, where they kind of took a bunch of independent nations who don't have anything to do with each other, don't even speak each other's language, don't relate. Many of them were even enemies and warring at the time, smushed them all together and drew these arbitrary lines around them and called them countries and named those countries.
Right.
And then said, now y'all get along and do a country for us and be a union for us. And then go through, contentious, bloody independence processes that never really yield any real independence. You're still part of a commonwealth afterwards.
True.
And you have the eternal meddling in your affairs and the eternal extraction of your resources and the eternal fomenting of divisiveness and infighting in order to be able to control you. This is what an oppressor does, a colonizer does. These are tactics and strategies of dominance.
Right.
We were subjected to that as a larger unit of Nigeria. And then when the Igbo people said, we want our own thing, let's go and do that. Well, it so happened to be that the territory that this new country of Biafra was going to be in included very, very rich oil reserves. And the British were not going to let go of that.
Wow.
And the people that they had put in power, their puppet Nigerian governments weren't going to do that either because they needed it for the Nigerian project.
Right.
And Britain needed it for its own interests and uses. So Great Britain got directly involved in this civil war and in the war for independence and decided that they would do everything to make sure that Biafra did not go.
Wow.
And this everything meant directly funding genocide of the people of Biafra.
And that was Dr. Ugo. She spoke a few weeks or few months about last year during some kind of engagement. Countries supported the Biafra war, while some did not. Ìlú wo ló support ìjà náà níjọ́ náà lọ́hùn? Mo kí ìyàwó Adéṣeun Adélàní, mo fi tọ̀wọ̀tọ̀wọ̀ dárúkọ Prince Adétayọ̀, Kọ̀sàmáńgbàgbé ìtawà lórí Koiki Odùduwà. Thank you so much, Mr. Adeniyi. Udo, good evening. Damilola Akinwole, Obayomi Akinrinade Adebayos, Israel, and Grandma Modupe Adebon. Mo kí bàbá mi Baálẹ̀ Dàda Nurudeen, Mr. Phillips Agbola, and ìyá mi Kẹ́mi Òsínkànlò, and the rest of the Antibadaruke Mafshebinu. This is a platform that takes us back to a lot of things that we don't know. Okay, ìyá mi Fọláṣadé Òjó. Àwọn ìlú wo ló báàkì Britain? Ìlú wo ni kò báàkì Britain? À ń bẹ Lédùmarè pé kí ogun má bẹ́lẹ̀ ní Nàìjíríà. But I can tell you that should the federal government not allow the conversation, the peaceful dissolution of Nigeria, there is no way that we are not going to experience another war in Nigeria. Nobody's praying for war. Kò sẹ́ni tó ń gbàdúrà fún ogun. But with the situation of things as it is right now, the tendency that there is going to, and I hope you can all hear me clearly, please never go with that. Once again, Ramadan Kareem to all our Muslim brothers and sisters. Kò sí ìdílé kan láyé tí kò sí Kristẹni, kò sí oníṣẹ̀ṣe, kò dẹ̀ sí Mùsùlùmí nínú ilé yẹn. And we have been managing that. Thank you so much, let's go. I will first let us watch this video. And I've just come across the video myself. The platform has 1.5 million subscribers. It's called History Matters. While I was, like I always say, each time I leave us, apart from Yaomiti Bakamu, I do a lot of watching on things and you can see the history of things that I watch. This is some of Hamas or North Korea. So you can see Ibitaba Macra aloe vera lost sign. So at least you have an idea. These were the three things apart from other things to delete, which is just two things that just the normal other medias. But Mulogbo àwọn wo ni wọ́n sponsor North Korea. Ẹ mọ̀ pé North Korea need epo tó pọ̀. Wọ́n ní epo lọ́dọ̀ tiwọn. Wọ́n ní crude oil. So that means they have to import almost everything into North Korea. So there's a documentary that Financial Times made. It's very, very interesting. We're going to talk about that. Mulowo báwo ni Republic of Dominican or Dominican Republic. Ẹ mọ̀ pé àwọn là ń sọ̀rọ̀ rí lórí láti ọwọ́ ọ̀sán. Ẹni tó bá ti wo program ọ̀sán, ta fi sọ pé à ń bọ̀ lálẹ́. Báwo làwọn ṣe gbòmìnira tiwọn? This is a video that we will watch. So, kakọ̀lá ìdí àbí tí Amade lálẹ́. But let's start with this one first, which is the Nigerian Civil War. Ogun tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní ìgbà Biafra. Ogun Biafra yẹn, ǹjẹ́ tí ogun bá bẹ́lẹ̀ lénìí nínú Nigeria with the current spark of situation tó wà ní outside the world. Ṣé mọ̀ pé nínú fídíò tá máa play ti North Korea ní 2017, Russia àti China náà sign àwọn deal kan or laws kan or whatever it is to say that wọ́n máa make sure pé wọ́n restrict the kind of trade that they are making with North Korea. Do you know that even as much as the world might not like the North Korea, but North Korea, China, and Russia are still good together. They are still working together. But now that gbogbo ìlú ń bá Russia jà, Russia ò kí àmọ́ nísìn, they are now also wọ́n need weapon ní látọ̀dọ̀ North Korea láti fún North Korea ní tí North Korea náà fẹ́. So it's kind of a trade by barter. Mo kàn try láti jẹ́ ká kọ́kọ́ wo the world as it is right now. Bí ayé ṣe rí nísìn with the current act of things tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀, especially ìjà tó ń lọ ní Ukraine àti Russia. A lot of the West, NATO àti America ló fund the Ukraine war yẹn. So that means pé indirectly they are fighting Russia. Russia nísìn, according to a report tí mo rí lánàá, Russia àti North Korea. Ẹ jẹ́ ká àti North Korea. Let's take the border away. There was a news I picked up. Yeah, I think BBC also picked it up. But ẹ jẹ́ ká kọ́kọ́ wo different headlines around the world. Tẹ́ bá lọ wo BBC news. BBC news headline was Russia to offer food for North Korean weapon, according to the United States. Russia seeks arms wọ́n fẹ́ nǹkan ogun látọ̀dọ̀ North Korea. So as much as North Korea bó ṣe wà yẹn, ìdí tí America ṣe ń bẹ̀rù North Korea kò ju pé North Korea ní nuclear weapon. Nuclear weapon North Korea tó bá ń yìn láti ìlú ó máa dé America. That is how powerful it is. But now that there is a lot of pressure láti àwọn ògbésọ́dọ̀ ẹnì kankan, it does not matter whatever is happening. But now that there is a lot of pressure pẹ̀lú Russia àti the world, because It is the world against Russia. It is not Ukraine against Russia. But the fight is just Ukraine ló ń lo manpower wọn pẹ̀lú àwọn tó ń pè ní machineries. Àwọn machineries yẹn bọ́ bá ṣe ń dé Ukraine, aṣọ military Ukraine náà wọ̀, but wọn ò ní sign wọn pé wọ́n wà nínú ìjà yẹn. So if they die, they die. If they survive, they survive. Again, Sky News. So that means that the same Russia that supported UK during the Biafra war is not likely to support UK again should a war break into Nigeria today. Ẹ kọ́kọ́ mú yẹn dání sọ́wọ́. US also supported the war. United Kingdom supported the war. US supported the war. Russia supported the war. But if the war break today in Nigeria, tí àwọn Biafra bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ ogun pẹ̀lú federal government, there is going to be sympathy now as against what we witnessed during the 1967 war. France, aṣekúṣẹyẹ làwọn, wọ́n support Biafra, but because of the oil. Israel support Biafra. And now I can see why after Nnamdi Kanu went missing for a very long time. That is why tí ẹ bá mọ̀ kankan àtẹ̀mí àtẹ̀yìn, àwọn Israelis máa ma fún àwọn Biafra ní highly credible intelligence because wọ́n support wọn nígbà Biafra war. And that is why they have strong intelligence because everybody knows how powerful Israel is. Ẹ̀dẹ̀ rí pé nígbà tí Nnamdi Kanu tí ó fi di pé wọ́n fẹ́ pa just àbí federal government ṣe fẹ́ pa Ìgbòho nílé ní 2017, Nnamdi Kanu ó sá lọ, ó escape. Nígbà tó máa surface, Israel láti rí tó ti surface. That means pé bí ó ṣe dé Israel, kò ní ṣẹ̀yìn àwọn Israel náà. But we know again that countries that supported as well was France, Israel, and China. Ṣé China máa back in Nigeria tó bí bá ṣẹlẹ̀ again? I don't know. But we know that China backed the Biafra. Nígbọ́nà lọ́n. Ẹ jẹ́ ká kọ́kọ́ ka article yìí. This article was released in 2017 by Premium Times. And the headline then was, Real Reason France Supported Biafra during the Nigerian Civil War. My question, tí mo fẹ́ ká máa fi note ni pé, ìlú wo ló máa sọpọ́tì tógun bá bẹ́lẹ̀ ní Nàìjíríà léni again? Àwọn wo ló máa back ara wọn? Ta ló máa back Yorùbá tógun náà bá bẹ́lẹ̀ nílẹ̀ Yorùbá? Ta ló máa back ogun tógun bá bẹ́lẹ̀? Because there is nothing that can stop ogun ní Nàìjíríà àfi tí a bá wá sórí round table. Tá bá ń parọ́ pé kò ní sógun, a kò sọ yẹn nítorí pé kí ni wá bá máa dùn. Báwa bá náà níjà, àwa ò kì í ṣe Biafra, Biafra máa jà. And I can, let me go straight to Simon Ekpa page. And I know some of us have been hanking about Biafra and Leko in Konkon. I'm going to talk about that, later on, but not probably today. But I want us to look at Simon Sonibiba. Emma Puwashi, a kind of a protest in Abia State, and the military were able to kill about 5 people. Good evening to you, Eunice. Let's read what Simon released some few hours ago. Public announcement. We wish to inform Biafrans and the public that the Eastern Security Network didn't take part in any protest today in Aba. The expelled criminals in IPOB went and recruited secondary school boys in Aba and endangered their lives today. Many were killed. ESN has nothing to do with protest. This is where I want us to take note. The day ESN and the Biafra Liberation Army will march or protest, if that day ever comes, because we don't believe in protest. They will march with sophisticated arms for self-defense. Now, let's read the next line. The time to use Biafrans to do gambling is over. We in IPOB and Biafra government in exile. And I can confirm that we've had a meeting one time, 2 times, I can't tell you as many, but there has been a kind of a meeting that I've attended with the Biafra. They have a government in exile, if you don't know that. I have attended a meeting, but I'm not going to go into details of such. But I have been invited into a meeting that the Biafra government in exile, and kudos as they continue to prepare themselves to get the hell out of Nigeria in whatever ways they believe in. The time to use Biafrans to do gambling is over. We in IPOB and Biafra, government in exile, are engaging the terrorist Nigeria militarily and diplomatically. We don't waste time in protest. Those protesting, organizing protests in Nigeria are those without vision. We are hereby call on the saboteur in Aba to stop endangering them. So what I'm just trying to bring up from this statement of Simon Ekpa is they are not joking. They will go with full military war when the government is going to do whatever I have to do to stop them. They will fight back. They will fight back. How Bani balls Latija. Don't think that the Biafra are not going to fight back. The Biafra will fight back. But the question is, should the fight break today in Nigeria? Are we going to see a new pattern of people that will support the reason that Biafra should go? Are we going to see countries that would also work against such? Time will tell. But to avoid what we saw with about 5 million people killed during the Biafra war is for the federal government to come into the round table and make the Biafra decide, just as the Yoruba, if they want to remain in Nigeria. You cannot force people into a union when they are saying it is not going to happen. So we are not going to be talking like the Scottish and the UK. They are not going. We're not going to see, fight between England and Scotland. But in Nigeria, ìbọn máa jáde, ìbọn máa dún, wàhálà máa ṣẹlẹ̀, because it is Africa, and if the federal government is not going to accept a conversation to allow a peaceful dissolution of Nigeria, then there will be a war. Now, let's go into this again. Once again, a very good evening and welcome to the program. So this article, like I said, came out on July the 17th. So let's read a little bit about it. A controversial French support to Biafra as it fought to break away from Nigeria between 1967 and 1970 was not in defense of Biafra secession clause, even though it had humanitarian appeal. Báwo la ṣe mọ information ni? Because there are things that are called declassified information. Those information will be released probably after 30 years, depending on the situation of things. So many things that they are keeping and they are hiding today, it will eventually become a public, document for anybody to see. Instead, it was based on that European countries' wish to have access to the region's oil. Recently declassified wartime memos compiled by the United States Central Investigation Agency, known as the CIA, says French supported Biafra because of the oil. Nítorí epo ni France ṣe support wọn. Are we going to see countries that are ready to say we will support Biafra, and then when the war is over, when the fight is over, we can have a relationship with them, and then they will back them? This is where a lot of us are saying, I want to need the country to not back you up. And we have, things that we can tell them, we can work with them and say, look, I want to need this, support. But the only thing is, I want to support me officially. They would have to do that behind the scene, because according to the international law today, Nigeria is still a sovereign country. So don't expect Benin Republic to come out openly and say, I want to endorse the Baba Akintoye, láti lọ gba Yorùbá nation. Don't expect Togo. Don't expect African countries that have the support for us, and even South Africa or any other countries in Europe or Cuba or Brazil. They will have to do that behind the scene. And that is why if anybody is saying that, just as, that woman keeps talking nonsense, she's talking nonsense because she knows that those are the kind of things that Baba Akintoye did for a very long time. And that's why she say, hey, Tabasa Sherifu Baba Akintoye man Sosita is all nonsense. It's just to, want to break, that man backbone, but it's not going to happen. So let's come back. France supported Biafra because of Ekpotoni and the Iraq, but not the Igbo revolution, according to Jane Maroche Birupi, the French Secretary General for African and Madagascar Affairs, referring to Emergency Response Action Plan, which is what it means by ERAP. Let me say this. The day T goes back in Nigeria, there will be a United Nations Security Council. They will start putting out as quickly as measures to either bring the situation under control so that humanitarian disaster is not going to happen like 5 million people die. I don't see 1 million people die should we go with war with Nigeria, whether it's the Yoruba or the Biafra, because the world is much more, different from 1967, because as of 1967, then, especially in African countries, technology is not there, for us to be able to communicate things. But this time around, with the vast amount of Biafra that are outside the country, with the vast amount of Yoruba people that are outside the country, should war kickstart in Nigeria today, it is not going to last more than 6 months before it gets stopped. We will not see the kind of war that lasted 2 years from almost 3 years. The only problem is the stability in Nigeria is maximum 6 months. They will bring the situation under control, but it will take another 2 years before the stability of change of government and the change of dissolution of the complete break loose. But it is not going to happen should we not confront the federal government. The federal government is meant to be listening, but they are not doing so until something and the first bullet is shot. And when that first bullet goes on, it will become a fire to fire, and the world will be divided. Because already, Russia crumble. If you have not followed the situation like I was showing you earlier, let's go back again to Russia. Russia is sending a delegation to North Korea to offer them food in exchange for weapons, according to United States National Security Council John Kirby has said. Why is that happening? Is because there is now, Russia is fighting the whole war. They are fighting not just Ukraine, they are fighting NATO, and they are fighting America. So that means that Russia is not going to back any of those countries that is creating problems for them in Ukraine. Even though we know that Russia supported, because Russia ni wọ́n ti ra àwọn aircraft of ìjà níjọ́ náà náà. Ogun tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní 3 years in Nigeria, Nigeria had the money in terms of the crude oil tó wà ní Nigeria. So they were able to buy, the fighter jet that they were using as at that time, láti bombard the Biafra land. So Mr. Kirby said any arms deal between Russia and North Korea will violate the United Nations Security Council resolution. Do you think that Russia cares about anything called United Nations Security Council as of today? Do you think that Russia cares about whatever the world is saying? Do you think that Russia gives a toss to America, to NATO, when it's trying to make sure that they can defend themselves? Knowing fully well that they are fighting not just Ukraine anymore, they are fighting the NATO, they are fighting America, and they are also fighting United Kingdom. Now, Russia feel more weapon lower North Korea. And North Korea is meant to be a country that is a threat to the world. as of today. And that is why in that documentary that I was telling you about, don't get lost in the program. Like you always know, we move around, but I will always take you back to where we are going. Let's go to this documentary that I just picked up. And I guess I have the exact location from 24.1. So I'm going to rewind it from 20. I do not own a copyright. So in case you get to this program and you are not finding this particular video, because I don't know whether they will remove it or not, but should you get here and you can't find it, you can go to Financial Times, or you type in North Korea and the tried gangster, ghost ship, and the spy. Let's listen to these a little bit and we'll come back into the conversation.
China, potential breaches of the sanctions regime unfolding in their jurisdiction. This included things like ship-to-ship transfers, and it was common to not receive a response from China.
A lot of the tankers continue to take safe haven in Chinese waters. A lot of these networks continue to move money through the international financial system. But the starting off point are nearly always Chinese banks that hold accounts secretly controlled by North Koreans. So the North Koreans...
Did you hear that? Remember that China supported the Biafra. Are we going to see a China supporting any breakup of Nigeria? Maybe to save their own? Or they will want to help Nigeria not to be break by becoming the next country supplying weapons so that Nigeria can be able to defeat the Biafra or the Yoruba should we want to break. Because in any war, you need a country to continue to also support you. Because if Nigeria without getting external support, they will need an external support. Because if need a kind of external support, Nigeria is a might. So if we're going to fight Nigeria, we will need a country to fund us military-wise underneath, and we can fight it once and for all. But because the world is divided, we are living in a divided world today, based on the issue going on presently between between Russia and the world. Russia Russia to Ukraine. So today, the reason why we're bringing these, these new, program that you're watching right now is because China the rest of the world, because one ban North Korea shit, Russia ban North Korea shit, and they are also making the United Nations have actually banned any amount of only cap North Korea, because North Korea not prepare the nuclear explosives that they are making. But now that the world Russia agree, Russia say F word, I don't want to use the full word, we cut us off. Whatever relationship protect because of the threat of North Korea to the world. Russia is now ready to go into North Korea and work with them weapon, because one need more weapon. All this is the question is, should Nigeria go into any crisis today? Can Nigeria survive it without an external support?
Koreans have a lifeline.
North Korea represents a real conundrum for China.
North Korea represents the conundrum. Let's not go too far. Once again, a very good evening and welcome. Chinese banks hold accounts secretly controlled by North Korea. So China Russia because and that is why dollarization. Russia thinks dollar more because gbogbo transaction tí Russia ṣe lágbàáyé ó ti wà freezed wọ́n rí owó san mọ́ because àwọn tó fẹ́ gbowó lọ́wọ́ wọn náà wọ́n gba owó Russia dọ́là làwọn fi gbà, and it's becoming a lot of ìgbà pé Russia jẹ́ country tó lágbára díẹ̀ ni kò bá ti collapse tán pátápátá, though gbogbo these cut out and these different things tí gbogbo àgbáyé ṣe fún wọn ó affect wọn, but Russia still dey survive it. Probably maybe for another, I don't know how long they can survive it, but wọ́n fẹ́ jẹ́ kí ìjà yẹn kó lọ sí World War III, and that is where it might end up. Nobody knows.
All accounts secretly controlled by North Koreans. So the North Koreans have a lifeline.
North Korea represents a real conundrum for China. On the one hand, China fought with North Korea.
Àwọn náà ti bá North Korea jà rí, but kí ló wá ṣẹlẹ̀ tó fi di pé China wá di pàdé North Korea? Just as a lè rò pé China support Biafra níjọ́ yẹn, but wọ́n lè má fi support wọn mọ́ nísìn because wọ́n rí nǹkan tó pọ̀ ju ìgbà yẹn lọ nísìn, because China is also a dominant in Africa and especially Nigeria. And they would not probably maybe want a breakup of Nigeria so that they can still have their stand. So that maybe in the next 10 years, wọ́n máa sọ Chinese nílẹ̀ Yorùbá, wọ́n máa fi Chinese kọ́ èdè tiwa. Or no, wọ́n máa sọ Chinese, and and you go to Osun State as an example now, we see a lot of Chinese there that are taking our resources. So is China going to back Yoruba people to break away from Nigeria? We don't know until there's a war. Ó dìgbà tó gun yẹn bá bẹ́lẹ̀ la máa tó mọ who are our real allies. But like I said, as of the 1967 war, UK, Russia, America were all supporting Nigeria, whereas France, Shekusheye, ìyẹn supported Biafra because ìtorí epo. Israel was supporting Biafra, China supported Biafra, but we don't know what is going to happen should a war happen. And don't come and tell me, Ogun Oleshele, you're deceiving yourself. There can be war in Nigeria anytime because there is a lot of pressure and the federal government doesn't want to listen in terms of whether to allow people to get back to where they were before. And if that is not going to happen, then Nigeria will be pieces.
In the Korean War in the 1950s, and North Korea shares a border.
Then it is inevitable until the government can start having a proper conversation and say, okay, let's run a referendum and see maybe people want to stay together or not. But if they're not coming with those kind of information, let me say to you, there will be a war in Nigeria, but nobody knows when.
With China. But on the other hand, North Korea's nuclear missiles are seen by Beijing as the crucial pretext that allows America to maintain its aggressive forward posture in Asia.
Now I want you to listen to this. In 2017, Russia and China actually signed a pact to say that, okay, we will make sure we monitor North Korea, even though we are still friends with them. But let's now fast forward from 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 6 years down the line, Russia is now saying, toss off. A lot of body. I don't care whatever we signed in 2017. I need weapon, and that weapon will be bought from North Korea by giving them food, and we would also get our own weapon from there. So the question tonight, he went on to say, it will be fine. Russia is self-sufficient in most of their daily needs. They trade largely with massive economies like Brazil, China, and India. And this is where I want us to listen to and now ask ourselves, why has everything changed in 6 years? So don't expect that if situation arises in Nigeria today, we might not get even countries that you don't expect. That we just say, you know what, let's just let Nigeria break. But àwọn kọ́lọ́ máa gbé ìgbésẹ̀ problem náà nínú yẹn. America is not going to say go and let war start in Nigeria. UK is not going to say the same thing. Even Russia is not going to say the same thing. But if there's a push from the people, then they would have to support the country to break. So, Ewonti, what considered by Mr. Kibe said that the arms deal between the North Korea and Russia will be violated. Do you think that Russia gives a toss about the violation anymore? Especially in this current situation when they are in need of weapons. Let's hear what happened in 2017 when Russia actually said, okay, we will look into it. We signed a pact, but this time around, 6 years down the line, Russia is saying, get the hell out.
In 2017, China and Russia were able to cooperate in imposing the oil cap on North
Korea. Did you hear that? They were able to have a oil cap. They send the North Korea. But according to the United Nations, I'm not going to play all this video. I can share the link. You can go and watch it. It's very, very interesting. I just come across it today myself. It shows that the world is so divided. So ẹ̀yin ọmọ Yorùbá tẹ́ ń bẹ̀rù pé ẹ má kó dogun kò ní dogun ẹ̀yin má worry nípa yẹn. Tí Nàìjíríà ò bá ṣe the needful for the total breakup of Nigeria in a democratic way, then Kolukalukulo prepare for the worst case scenario. It is inevitable, like Sonki said right there.
Korea. But now they are pushing not only to alleviate sanctions on North Korea, but they've actually been trying to publicly excuse and justify North Korea's more.
Did you hear that? They are now publicly excuse and justify North Korea more aggressive. And that is why you look at this headline on BBC, which was just how many days ago? Just about 1 day ago. Russia to offer food for North Korean weapons. One needy in Congo because the war is still going on. I don't want to show you some of the videos, but just go on Twitter. You will see that Ogunya, another city, don't believe, Bamakut or something. Àwọn kan dẹ̀ wà ajagun tàlàhún. Àwọn Russia ń lò wọ́n, àwọn àgbáyé náà ń lò wọ́n pè wọ́n ní machineries. They are very, very expensive. Wallahi. Àwọn kan ní ká lọ gba machineries. Ọmọ etí machineries máa ń gbà ní. Ó fi pé owó mọ́ínmọ́ín ni. We're talking about millions of dollars, billions of dollars. Àwọn yẹn máa lọ Russia náà ń lo military tí wọ́n but àwọn kan wà. Àwọn ará Chechan, àwọn yẹn ajagun tàlàwọ̀. Àwọn máa ń lọ ń jagun tàní. But the question is Russia listening to United Nations Security Council anymore? They are not. Because they are trying to say, we don't give a thought. And that is why this video, I'm just going to play another, probably just about a minute out of it, and that will be the end of it.
Progressive behavior.
Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, we know
since Russia invasion of Ukraine, relationship between Russia and North Korea has now become very, very strong. This is what she wants to say.
North Korea has a relationship with Russia, supplying artillery and other weapons in return for Russia not implementing sanctions. And
did you hear that? Russia is now saying, we don't care about the implementation, like about Mr. Nuruddin, and the sanction. We don't care anymore because relationship with Abaye is not as it is anymore. And this is why it is becoming interesting that in other African countries now, like Mali, we are seeing the pressure, because they are having the backing of Russia and so many other countries like that.
Potentially helping out this cash-strapped regime with cash or fuel.
China was quite willing until recently to cooperate with the United States.
Wọ́n cooperate pẹ̀lú United States nígbà kan. But now, relationship Russia àti United States ó ti dàbí ìgbà tí nǹkan tó sáwà kí ló ń pè ní sáwà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá. Ó ti sáwà. Mo kí Dr. Bashir Bashomu. Good evening and welcome to the program. Mo kí ẹ̀gbọ́n mi Tony Ages. Mo kí ẹ̀mbẹ̀ Matthew. Relationship Russia àti America ó ti sáwà. Nígbà yẹn ní 2017, America was able to convince China, ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ ṣe together. Mo kí ó ti kan, ó ti bàjẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni, ó ti kan. Ẹ mọ̀ wọ́n, àwọn ògì kan wà, ògì yẹn máa ń kan. And that is why let's now leave this one. And tó bá fẹ́ lọ wo the full video, I will share it out for those of you that wants to watch it. Once again, this is KOKORO Live. So that is the link there shared into the YouTube channel. I can't play more than the video anymore because it become on the video here, and I don't want them to come back. I can always feel your energy, especially when you share the broadcast. I know you are with me tonight, just as you're always here with us. So my share not see. Okay, what's going on there? Okay, I know. Sorry. Okay, once again, a very good evening and welcome to the program. Yeah. Moki Yami Evangelist Ekaboma Ekale Grandma Shalafia Lewa. Moki Bugben Mommy were not late. and different part of the world. So now, mo ti share link yẹn fún ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bá fẹ́ lọ wo video yẹn, so I can't play more than that. But at least àti la idea. Now let's come back to the Biafra. Again, I do not own the copyright of this video. Ma play video, ma jẹ́ kó roll out for the 4 minutes. Then àwa ṣe analysis lé lórí. A ṣe ń lọ sórí Dominican Republic, 11 million. GDP wọn bá ṣe sọ lọ́sàn-án, $194 billion. Ẹ rántí graph yìí, ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bá wo program yẹn, tẹ́ bá wo live. Graph yìí là ń show. A máa wá sínú graph yìí, gbogbo tí àwọn Dominican Republic tán export of in generate $94 billion yẹn òun lẹ̀ wò yìí. Ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ ni, ìlú wo ni wọ́n tà sí? This is the kind of thing that, you know, the Nigerian government should be telling us. Kí là ń export, ká lè click lé lórí, all these things is there. It's something that can be done. But because it's a criminal country, they are always hiding something. Whoa, I need the real data. And ẹni tó ní data ló ní ayé nísìn. And that's why bí àyẹn ṣe gba 5 million data wa, àmọ́bi tó wà nísìn. She could use it for anything. That is if the 5 million was completed as she says. Because I didn't know the back end. All we are told that the 5 million was completed. But as of today, ẹ lọ sí òmìnira tó fi gba information wa, website yẹn to collapse. And nobody is coming out to give the reason why the website has gone down. She has actually take data, wọ́n gba phone number, wọ́n gba orúkọ and email address or whatever that she took away from us, and that in the next 10 years can be used for anything. She can use it for anything. Kódà wọ́n lè lò against wa gan láti sọ pé èyí táwọn fi sọ fún wa pé àwa la sign ẹ̀ pé a fẹ́ kúrò ní Nàìjíríà. Tó bá dá padà kó sọ pé a fẹ́ kúrò ní Nàìjíríà nǹkan tó bá yẹ pé nǹkan tó ń present system yẹn. Who knows? But the question is, we are still asking where and reason why the website went down with 5 million information. And Anthony data láyé, and that's why people like the Facebook are making hell of a money. It's about 1 billion people on Facebook. So Facebook can easily say to any company, you can guarantee anything. So that's just on the side. Now let's listen to this video. Once again, a very good evening and welcome.
With civil wars and revolutions. And normally those civil wars would see
the US-led West on one side with the communist world on the other. But when the Nigerian Civil War kicked off in 1967 and saw this region break away as the Republic of Biafra, the sides were much less clear. The Nigerian government was backed by the UK, the USA, sort of, the USSR and Israel, whereas Biafra was backed by the People's Republic of China, France, and also Israel. And given that both sides were such a confusing mess, this raises an obvious question. What on earth happened? Why did the Nigerian Civil War have such weird sides? So, like many conflicts in Africa during the Cold War, the roots of the Nigerian Civil War can be traced back to the end of colonial rule there. Nigeria gained its independence from Britain in 1963, and it was a very diverse country made up of many different peoples, whom Britain clumped together because it made the map look nicer. In the north, the largest region in the country, the House of Fulani people were dominant, and they were the ones who made up the majority of Nigeria's military and were predominantly Muslim. The Yoruba were the largest group in the southwest, and they were the wealthiest, and their region housed Nigeria's current capital. And the southeast was mostly made up of the Igbo people, whose land was home to much of Nigeria's massive oil reserves. Long story short, after Britain left, the three groups couldn't decide on where the capital would stay, how much autonomy everyone would get, and who would be allowed into the army. In 1966, there was a military coup, shortly followed by a counter-coup, and honestly, a lot of people were purged. Ethnic violence exploded and hundreds of thousands of Igbo people fled to the southeast, and leaders there opted to break away in 1967. The Nigerian leadership didn't accept this, and so, civil war. So why were the supporters of each side so varied? Well, the main supporter of the Nigerian government was Britain, who, as their former colonial overlord, felt passionately about the well-being of the Nigerian state, and just kidding, it was oil. British companies controlled about 90% of Nigeria's oil production, most of which went to Britain, and if the Biafran Republic had gained its independence, it may have lost said oil. As such, the British provided lots of guns and lots of money to the Lagos government. The US government wasn't too keen on all of the murder going on, but it wanted to support Britain, which meant not really getting involved. And despite America's empathy for the Igbo, if Biafra seceded, it could have potentially led to other movements springing up across Africa, and civil wars tended to see communist support rise, which meant that Biafra would get no help from the USA. Like its rivals, the Soviet government also supported Nigeria, not for any moral reasons but for political and economic ones. The Nigerian government was looking for some planes, which the USSR certainly had to spare, and since Britain had refused to provide them, that meant that there was money to be made. It was also hoped that help in the civil war would improve relations with Nigeria, which was one of the most influential nations on the continent. However, the Soviets had to be smart about their support, since if they became too influential in Nigeria, they knew that the Americans would get involved. As such, they pressured Britain to provide more military aid by threatening to do it themselves if they refused. This was a bluff since they didn't actually want to do this, but it allowed Britain to believe that they were fighting communism in Africa, when in fact their continued support was keeping the United States uninvolved by making it look like that the Soviets were failing to win influence in Nigeria. As for Biafra, they had three main material supporters: France, China, and Israel. France supported the IGBOHO, mostly because of their deep concern for their well-being, and oh wait no, it was also oil. France, much like Britain, had oil companies in the region, and if Biafra managed to break away, France could have got some of it. Nigerian victory also worried the French government, who saw Nigeria as being too large and populous. There were concerns that a successful Nigeria could influence France's former colonies around it and diminish its clout in the region. As for China, they had just had a very public falling out with the Soviet Union, and since the USSR was backing Nigeria, China had to do the opposite and so funneled arms to Biafra. It also helped China in trying to establish itself as an independent communist leader with its own reach and influence across the world. The last country which was deeply involved was Israel. Israel was in a tough spot, since politically siding with the Nigerian government would have helped to improve relations with the rest of the continent. Since up until this point, the vast majority of independent African states opposed Israel due to the Palestine conflict. Domestically though, the Israeli people supported the IGBOHO, and so Israel's government opted to help both. In the end, the support for Biafra did little, and in 1970 it was recaptured and formally reintegrated into Nigeria. And after this, the Nigerian civil war would not only be remembered for its brutality, but also the peculiar sides that the rest of the world took in the conflict. I hope you enjoyed this episode and thank you for watching, with a special thanks to my patrons, James Bizinet, Kelly Moneymaker, Corsho Wolf, Jordan Longley, Adam.
I hope we all mocking Bababi John Ogundele Kabo Sore to Daddy Ekaleson. What did anybody make out from that video? I want to read some of the comments. Kila on can make out Moki Yamidada Omolara Iyabo Ajala or Mufidaro Koimo. Kila Bo shaking play again Katubo Abi Afarabani Agbolenko. Àti pé kila nǹkan tá gbọ́ nínú video yẹn. Do you think again that ogun tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní 1967 tó bá repeat rẹ̀ lẹ́nu, there will be the same pattern? Ẹ rántí pé ó ní ìdí tí China ṣe support ti Biafra is because àwọn ṣe kúrò lábẹ́ wàhálà ti Soviet Union. But today, Russia ti China, they are in good terms with North Korea. Russia is not in good terms anymore with British. And just as somebody, one of my uncle just posted something to me on the WhatsApp, Russia also stands in solidarity with Africa in its desire to occupy a more prominent place in the world and eliminate inequality caused by the neo-colonial policies of some developed states. Moscow is ready to support the sovereignty and independence of African nations, including through security assistance as well as trade and investment. The new strategic document says opportunity for serious African nations, e.g. Yoruba, to break away from the enslavement. The question then is, how is all this going to become reality? Ṣé Russia ló máa kọ́kọ́ wá dá wàhálà sílẹ̀? Àbí àwa tá a jẹ́ pé nǹkan ń dùn? So every one of them were just after the Biafra oil. And the question again is, should Nigeria federal government not really come into conversation with those that are agitating and their thinking is just shouting on the social media? Self-interest, Mr. Dekunle Bakari. So everybody's looking for their own interest. So the highest bidder. And today, nobody knows who is talking to different part of these indigenous people. Some of us might not know. But ó dìgbà tí wàhálà bá ṣẹlẹ̀ lẹ máa mọ̀ pé yes, they have some serious backup. Mr. Bishop sọ pé Bishop Adesina ni, what I learned from the video, if there's a conflict in Nigeria today, Nigeria will lose interest of international allies and now more diversified. Waris Jinadu say history take recourse and will repeat itself in different way, which is Nigeria is heading towards. Something all I know is the one that is going to support for free. Nobody's going to support you for free if you're looking for free, but you can allow Baba Morimbe. Thank you so much for joining in the program, and the rest of you on the Mixer Lab. No country is going to support you for free. So if you're looking for free, forget it. You're not going to get it. But you can have a new relationship. So a new terms of agreement, a new terms of policies. Okay, Russia máa support wa, àwọn ọmọ wa Yorùbá wá kàwé, tó bá ṣe tán wá padà wá bá wa develop. Èyí náà bá wa develop, àwọn náà fún yín níbi kan tẹ́ máa bá wa explore, Ajaokuta, this, that. But nobody is going to give you any free access to their own ways of life. But the question is, báwa ṣe rọra ń ṣe Yorùbá nation yìí lọ ní non-violent, which I discussed, if you watch the program, a few days ago, if not yesterday, that until tí a máa strangle Nigerian government, tá máa gbá wọn sẹ́sẹ̀, tá máa gẹ́sẹ̀ chair yẹn, but it's not going to happen if there's no push. Part of the push is what we are doing every day, coming out. Ẹlòmíì ti lè gbọ́ fídíò tẹ́lẹ̀ rí, ẹlòmíì lè máa gbọ́, but it shows that there's still interest in Nigeria by different people around the world. Now let's watch this one. Again, these are the ICRC. Again, some of their archive from 1966 up to 1975. The Biafra War was also mentioned. I do not own the copyright. This is just about under 3 minutes, 13 seconds. Let's listen to it together.
Daniel Palmieri et je travaille aux archives du Comité international de la Croix-Rouge où je suis historien. Je suis ici pour vous présenter l'ouverture de la prochaine tranche d'archives du CICR. Cette tranche concerne la période 1966-1975. Pour le chercheur, cette période est intéressante pour plusieurs raisons. Tout d'abord, le chercheur va avoir accès à des documents liés à des guerres de décolonisation et en particulier la fin de l'empire colonial portugais en Afrique avec les guerres du Mozambique et de l'Angola. Mais également, il va pouvoir voir les documents et surtout l'activité du CICR dans des conflits de type affrontement Est-Ouest, c'est-à-dire des conflits de guerre froide. Et le plus symptomatique, emblématique de ces conflits est bien évidemment la guerre des années 60 jusqu'à la fin du conflit en 1975 et la chute de Saïgon. Le chercheur pourra aussi avoir accès à des documents concernant des conflits internationaux, comme le conflit entre Israël et les pays arabes, la guerre des 6 jours, mais également la guerre du Kippour, ou alors à des guerres civiles, et la plus emblématique est bien évidemment la guerre civile au Yémen, entre la fin des années 60 et le début des années 70. Un des conflits également les plus symptomatiques et importants.
Okay, so this is now the Nigeria conversation on this. Another major conflict was the civil war in Nigeria. So let's go further. Known today as the Biafra War. The ICRC mounted a vast relief operation there. 1966 to 1975 marked the beginning of the ICRC as we know it today. Namely, an organization working worldwide with a large workforce and the means to match its ambitions. Several million documents will be made available. They include ICRC correspondence. So what I'm just trying to bring up from all this is that there is a file and catalog. Lagos, Lagos, 16th of June 1969. Committee International de la Croix. So one thing we need to understand is that the situation that arose some 30 years ago with the Biafra War, should the same start today in Nigeria, the world is already divided. Good evening, Chuk Chuks. Mokimi Iyami Oluwashola David. Let's quickly go back again to a Twitter account that I saw something that I want to bring to all. It's called 99%. That guy is called 99% Oppressor. I don't know, but all I can say is, what is this vehicle doing in Nigeria today? This is Nigeria. According to this video, you can see United Nations military vehicle moving towards the southeast of Nigeria. This video was picked up today by somebody. You can see the vehicle clearly written United Nations. These are vehicles traveling towards the southeast of Nigeria. I don't know for what reason. I don't know for what purpose. Afolayan, good evening. But what I know is, according to this video and according to the write-up, Nigeria security alert. Nigeria is not at war. I don't know what United Nations peacekeeping trucks with supplies are doing in Nigeria, heading down southeast and south-south part of Nigeria. These trucks were sighted in Ekpoma, Edo State today along the Federal Road around Big Joe bus stop, Ekpoma. All this was happening today in Nigeria. What is the United Nations truck doing in Nigeria? Like I said, I don't know. Maybe you know. By the time we open our phone line, you might be able to tell me. Let's watch the video again. And it's raining, so that's why there's a lot of, let me reduce that because it's getting late here. So you can see clearly, all written United Nations. How many of them have entered Nigeria? Are they going to the IDP camp? Are they having a mission in Nigeria? I don't know. But I'm asking Yoruba lálẹ́ pé, ṣé United Nations is smelling kokoni? How will smell? Are they probably just traveling, for humanitarian purpose? I don't know. But one thing I know is, United Nations Koloma sorti Nigeria. Nigerians or the indigenous people will sort themselves out, but United Nations will be there, Red Cross will be there to mobilize whatever assistance when the right time comes. And you can see the next truck. And again, we don't know what is under the shield of this truck. It could be food, it could be weapons, it could be supply. I don't have any evidence, but like we all know, some of these have been used against people of different countries around the world in the past. Even the Red Cross have, we've seen different atrocities that they've committed by stealing the natural resources of individual countries and using Red Cross. We know the CIA use them. We know the MI5 use all these things. And we have so many intelligence going on in Nigeria that even the Nigerian government does not know. And that is why the DSS, you all remember what the DSS said a few days ago, DSS, Nigeria. Remember the news that broke that there is a plan to install an interim government. Everybody read that news. Okay? Let's open this one. DSS confirms a plot to create interim government in Nigeria, identify key players. They didn't identify any key players. So the question then is, maybe it's just coincidence, I don't know, but it's entirely up to Yoruba people or those that are watching me tonight to make that up and say, there's a lot of divided comment on that. Let's see some of the comment. This was clearly seen by me. Somebody else is confirming that they saw the video. And if you're watching me on my program and probably saw the video as well, just let me know and I can read the comment out. Muki Yawala Jirekoka, Muki Yawaramu Tusi, Adex 501, my brother 4725 Henry, and so many divided comment there as usual. Let's read some of the comment. This video was clearly seen by me. I did a short video to You Are Right and Current less than an hour ago. The person said, thanks for confirming the authenticity. Somebody said, rainfall in Ekpoma today? The guy replied, yes. Like, seriously? I wouldn't have believed, but for the NNPC truck driving by, as show there is APC or Tinubu written on those things? Find out things well before concluding a beg. This one say, he never mentioned APC or Tinubu. Use your head a little. This one went on to say, what is going on in Nigeria today has doubled but has inflicted war on many countries. I pray we hold on to our peace and get our mandate back. Those are people that are still thinking that is the country. But one thing is, Baba mi John ní United Nations wọ́n múra sílẹ̀ fún ohun tó ń bọ̀ ni. Okay? So let's go back again and watch the video. There's two videos, so we'll watch the two videos and then we'll move on swiftly into the conversation. So that is the first video. And now let's watch the second video. Almost the same thing. And you can see that that second video has what it can look like a container. Clearly, it says there United Nations. Is it United Nations truly? Or is this a kind of another disguise? Also, in Maryland, somebody also said they saw, military vehicle, brand new. I know that all the time there's new vehicles, bringing to the, they're bringing them to Nigeria because I have my intelligence in the port, and I'm aware of that all the time. But somebody was also saying, in Maryland lately, yes, Portable has been arrested. I saw the headline as well. So, if you can see clearly, these are like 20-foot container. Kilo wa nínú ẹ̀. Ṣóúnjẹ ni, ṣé humanitarian relief ni, ṣé toilet seat ni, ṣé canopy ni. Nobody knows because these are non-disclosed to the public. But we can now say that United Nations is moving some kind of vehicle within Nigeria. Let's watch again. And you can see clearly back and forth, sideways, United Nations. One more time. So the question is, what is the whole purpose of that? And look at the state of the road in that Shito country that these tankers are driving, and this truck rather. You can see this, the state of the road, just as crazy as it is in the last 66 years or whatever. So now let's come back now to how long have we spent on the program already? Just about 1.5 hours. So we're still very good in our time tonight. Once again, a very good evening and welcome. As I always say, this is a platform that gives you up to date on what is happening around the world, especially the world is so divided. As you can see, let's read this article one more time. Even though North Korea and Russia will violate United Nations Security Council, the United States has previously accused North Korea of supplying arms to Russian military in Ukraine and the Wagner group of Russia mercenaries. But you know that this side of the world will always want to talk about the other side. But they will news the other side. They will also reality and the other side as well. I don't know so one Wagner groups. These are mercenaries. And you can see there, àwọn ará Chechen ni wọ́n, àwọn máa ń jagun ta ní ajagun ta làwọn. And they've been fighting now for decades. They die, they have new leaders, they get weapons, they, very, very well sophisticated weapons. Wọ́n máa ń béèrè fún ogun nǹkan ogun jà ní. Let's look at what this story says. Last year, the headline here. So you can see that we are living in a new world that is completely different from 1967. Tí ogun bá bẹ́lẹ̀ nínú Nigeria lálẹ́, let us have it at the back of our mind that it is not going to last the 3 years as we saw, during the war in Nigeria between the federal government. As Emma Binu will go back to that. Let's just come back again to this headline. Remember the headline that we were reading previously? Real reason why France supported Biafra during the Biafra war. France supported Biafra nítorí epo ni, nothing more than that. They also set up what they call the Emergency Response Action Plan. Are they going to set up a new emergency response plan should anything break loose in Nigeria today? Very good evening and welcome to Oluwaferomi and likewise Babatunde into the program. Moke, Baba Kende, Elijah, Komutan, Muki, Lucky Boy, and the rest of you that are watching us in different parts. Baba Mr. Laude Moki, Prince Adeboye, and the rest of you that have joined as well. Now, let's go further. On the 10th of February 1969, there was a memo. Cherry memo is traveling back and forth between Nigeria and different diplomats, different embassies. Every day they are updating that memo because they are not sure what is going to happen next in Nigeria. They'll be telling them to prepare for contingency plan. They'll be telling them to make sure that they wipe off all their data that they have in their hard drives. In case, I'm sure you've watched that kind of a movie. I think the one that happened recently was ET American Embassy, Kusi, American Ambassador rather, not embassy, died in that movie. And to look up film, I watched it before and I like to watch it all the time. I love watching all these films that they shoot and kill each other. One thing is, Nigerians should prepare their mind. I know you want a peaceful Nigeria. I want a peaceful country as well, but Nigeria, the siege. Thank you so much. If you have not watched it before, I don't know whether it's free on the YouTube, but if I have the Facebook, it's called The Siege. America lost their siege. No, siege. No, siege. The siege. Let's see. America lost their ambassador in that particular movie. I don't know. We'll call it Leo. This is not it. You're giving a different, the siege in Yemen. You're probably giving a different name. Anyway, let's leave that. Let me say this to Nigerians that are probably, praying that all what I'm saying is not going to come true. I'm praying the same thing as well like you. But you can live in denial. Okay? Live in denial that Interim is all lies. But the reality is in your face. But because you are hoping that every 4 years election will give us peace, unity in that Buruku shit country. Everybody knows that the country is so much divided that it can explode in just a matter of time. Good evening, Michael. Everybody knows that. But I understand your feelings. You are angry that the Nigeria that you want, you are not seeing it. You will never see the Nigeria that you want because the Nigeria that you want is manufactured not to work. The Nigeria that you think you want to work because you think that you're smarter than the Nigeria that those that created in Nigeria for you, you must be stupid in your head because those that created the Nigeria that you are seeing today do not want it to work. And if I take you back to this video, which I'm not going to do some bit of analysis on it. And in case I remove this video, all you need to do is just go to YouTube and type in, why were the sides in the Nigerian Civil War so weird? A short animated documentary, in case you get to this section and the video has been removed, because sometimes they remove those videos. Now, let's play this video and then I will do a bit of talking around it, because the last time I just allowed the video to play through.
Normally, those civil wars would see the US-led West on one side with the communist world on the other. But when the Nigerian Civil War kicked off in 1967 and saw this region break away as the Republic of Biafra, the sides were much less clear.
The sides were much clear. Some wanted the support of Biafra for against selfish interest. Everything is about a selfish interest. The Nigeria that you are seeing today is a selfish interest of the Yoruba politician, the Igbo politician, the middle, even as much as you might say you like, Governor Simon Otom, it's just his own selfish interest. But I don't think, he want to say to go to Senate. So all he needs to do now is, with all the money he has stolen, or all the money he has acquired, if not stolen, while he's a governor, because they all acquire a lot of money, okay, through the back deals that they make. And, when, I just want to come out of this. when we now ask ourselves that this is where we're coming after this, conversation, because I want to focus back on this now. This is the whole export of a small island known as Dominican Republic. And you look at my topic tonight, is it something big that you want, or you want something small that you can be part of it as well? Even if you are a farmer in a country like Dominican Republic, you are likely that your ogede jije will get to Germany, will get to Netherlands, will get to United Kingdom, Sweden, Ireland, Italy, Norway, Portugal, Poland, Denmark, France, Iceland, Finland, Luxembourg, Spain, Canada, and even Kuwait. These are the countries that a farmer working hard in Dominican Republic can be rest assured that his produce will get out of that country. But the Benghazi, you're confusing me, because I know that, I think you're right, because what you gave us earlier was not it. So let's now quickly look at Benghazi. So if you have not watched that movie, go and watch it. I can tell you that the Americans, the United Kingdom, every country around the world that has embassy in Nigeria, Indian, Norway, Dublin, Ireland, Spain, Italy, they are all preparing what they call contingency plan. They have their own internal security that is preparing them for like under 24 hours or maximum 72 hours. They can evacuate every one of them should its war break loose in Nigeria. And the war will break loose because the unity that you are thinking is there is not there. So, but there's always an interest. And that is where we watch this video again one more time.
The Nigerian government was backed by the UK, the USA.
The UK was backing the Nigerian government because they created Nigeria in the first place. And the last thing that any country that creates a country is they don't want it to lose their relevance. If UK allow Nigeria to break today, not that they cannot still have relationship with the Biafra country, with the Arewa nation, with the Edo nation, with the Yoruba nation, but they don't want that to happen. They want us to remain under one stupid entity, sovereign nation that some of you think is the sovereign nation. So rather than we fighting and saying it's leadership problem, it is not leadership problem. It is the mess up that the British created that is giving us this threat to life. The Igbo don't like the Yorubas. The Yoruba don't like the Hausa. But here in UK, we live side by side, but we manage ourselves. Because there's a law that says that you cannot just go out there and abuse anybody from Somalia and say, you did Somali, what are you doing in this country? Even though the English might not like every one of us living here. But the UK is holding Nigeria, and they were actually able to do so during the civil war in Biafra when they wanted to break away.
A sort of the USSR and Israel, whereas Biafra was back.
So these are countries then that back Nigeria. Soviet Union, as at the time, there is no more Soviet Union. Soviet Union itself has now break. America is okay, Britain. All right, we just give you. And here, let me now bring this video of Bill Clinton. Remember that we have a video that I normally play of Bill Clinton. He talked about the Biafra War. Let's listen to him.
But our historic memory includes the notion that your greatest days were under Ivan, Peter the Great, and Catherine the Great. In other words, when you could control your neighbors. And people don't want to be controlled anymore.
People don't want to be controlled. So you as a Nigerian thinking, oh, you are being controlled because you have a bad leader, because of our politics. No, it's not because of our politician. Let's leave Nigeria and then come out of Nigeria, and then we can deal with this bastard 419 politician that does not want development. We will deal with them, within the context of our own system. But today, your governors are being protected by the fraudulent 1999 constitution. And even each time, go and ask yourself, EFCC say they are arresting governors that steal money and, shady businesses. How many of them have they locked up in the prison? The one that they will lock up will be the opposition. And that continue like that every 4 years. The elections of NT is a play for Yoruba nation. You might say you don't want Yoruba nation, but Yoruba nation, Biafra nation will break. It's just about when, how soon. 1 hour 46 minutes so far, and I still say good evening to those of you. And let me bring my time back because I actually removed it earlier on, just for record purpose. 11:46. It is till Friday evening. Let's go back to Bill Clinton.
They want to be free to chart their own course.
People want to be free to chart their own course. You want to hold everybody in Nigeria, but yet you don't want the Biafra, to live in Lagos. Then let them go, so that they can have, the peace, and we can then control and say, okay, the Biafra that we want to have in Lagos State would have to respect, the constitution. But as long as we're all living under Nigeria, they will be able to live anywhere. The Yoruba doesn't want to go and live in the north. They come back home. So it's just a matter of time. The country is so divided. And nobody can fix that because everybody wants to chart their own course. But the federal government from the western part of the world that are deceiving you, they supported Nigeria. You can see them. And it's still the same country today. Even if you want to get a visa to America now, let's close some of these quickly. Let's go on the American Twitter website. The same country that is supporting Nigeria. Rather than support us to break away, America is saying, no, let's just make sure we can send some of your people to go and study in America. But if you're going to get a visa to America today, you can see that you would then have to pay $185. You can see, hey, HIV treatment surge in Osun State. The U.S. Consular General, Will Stephen, joined CDC governor for the launch of Osun State HIV treatment surge. And then a lot of people see I saw the video myself, and the moment you see these Yoruba people, everybody is, hey. But they are the same people that supported Nigeria. So, do you think that America wants Nigeria to break? If you're going to America, I hope you get the visa, and I hope they don't reject you. The visa is now going from $160 is now going to $185. Publication of the final rule on non-immigrant visa fee increases. And it's increased. As it increased in Nigeria, I guess it increased in other countries as well. So the visa fee increased according to the US government. So it will increase from $160 to $185. And if you don't get the visa, you don't get a refund. But when we are getting our own country, we can rework our relationship with America. We can have a new ways and say, look, relationship technically with Nigeria is not in the favor of the Yoruba people. In the 80s, we were able to come to UK without a visa. But now that we want to chart our own course, everybody say, no, let's live together. But yet, you don't love the Biafra. You don't love the Igbo people. Since we don't love the Igbo people, let them go. Since the Yoruba don't love the Igbo people, let them go. Since the Hausa don't want, but they don't want them to go. But yet, you don't love them. And we live in denial. And people say, no, Koiki, it's just that we have to protect our, okay, you want to protect our own, then let's break up the country. You can't eat your cake and have it. It doesn't work. And they wanted to go, but countries back Nigeria so that the Igbo will not be able to have the full energy to break loose. Because if they have the full energy, maybe today Biafra would have been a country and, Yoruba would have remained in Nigeria with the Hausa and the Fulanese. But it is no longer the Igbo that are saying that they want to go. The Yorubas are now also repeating the same thing. But the reason why some Yorubas are not buying into it is because they think that it is still our own opportunity to also eat as much of the national cake of Nigeria, and then maybe we can break loose. And it is as simple as ABC. They should let everybody go their separate ways. Just as Bill Clinton said in that video everybody wants to chart their own course.
Never forget the first time a man with impeccable military credentials, the warden of Rhodes House, who was Admiral Viscount Montgomery's aide de camp in World War II, said, you know, you're going to have to leave Vietnam for the same reason we had to leave Nigeria.
For this, remember that America just supported Britain because, you know, they're like, you know, wife and husband. In the UK battle, American law, just as Tony Blair took us to the war in Iraq in 2003, that ended up to be fraud. But because George Bush wanted to go to that war, you know, licky, Tony Blair just let them on and they went. You had Tony Blair, you know, Bill Clinton saying that just as the way they left the Biafra war and it became messy. And let's go back to the video that we're playing here as well.
Cesar and Israel, whereas Biafra was backed by the People's Republic of China, France, and also Israel.
So 3 countries backed them there. But again, China backed Biafra because China just come out of the problem with the Soviet Union. Israel, maybe for a reason as well, but France, as we say in that article that we were reading earlier, which says the February 10, 1969 memo quoted Mr. Mauricio Beaupré, the equivalent of the minister at the time, as saying French support was merely given to a handful of Biafra Bogolese in return for oil. They want oil. So they were not doing it for free. Very good evening to our mother, Mrs. Sarah Oyulawo. Komoton Town say, I always enjoy your lecture and motivation all the time. Thank you so much. And welcome once again to those of you that have joined us. So kí la sọ lálẹ́ ni pé ṣé Nàìjíríà tó tóbi la fẹ́ àbí a fẹ́ country tó kéré tó ní agbára tí a lè sọ pé a máa build it díẹ̀díẹ̀. A lè sọ pé yes, even if it's not going to be perfect. No country is perfect in the world. But one thing is, this country that we are using as our eye mark, Dominican Republic, passport money value in Nigeria law, their export is $94 billion as of 2021. Lára àwọn nǹkan tó ń tà káàkiri àgbáyé is even fruit. Àwọn wo ló ra fruit lọ́wọ́ wọn? America is buying value of $22.8 million worth of fruit as an export from a country that is less than, you know, Lagos State. Haiti is buying from them. Curacao is buying from them. Grenada is buying from them. Antigua is buying from them. France is also buying from them. Guyana is buying from them. Chile is buying from them. South Korea. And that is why when we were, I'm just moving slightly away because this is now almost the 2 hours of the program. So I want to keep this in tonight as well. So we've talked about those countries that back Biafra and those countries that back Nigeria. But the question is, are we likely in today's new world that we are living to see what played out in 1967 during the Civil War of Nigeria? I don't think so. So let's close all this. We talked about Dominica Republic, and we were looking at their airport. According to one of the videos that we watched earlier on today, they have 8 international airports from what we saw in the video that we watched today. Let's go back to my YouTube. See if I can go back to my history. Once again, this is still a live transmission as we continue to tell Nigerians and the indigenous people all the reason in the world that we need to get the hell out of Nigeria before it is too late. So, during our 10 search of interesting places in Dominican Republic, we were able to find out that they have 8 international. So Dominican Republic has the second fastest growing economy in the Central Africa after Bahrain. This is what I want us to now key in back in. If this country has 8 international airports serving over 60 destinations, the reason why they are very busy in their export today, which is giving us this graph, these are all the produce gbogbo tí wọ́n export to generate owó fún wọn lélẹ̀. So whether a layman or somebody that is well read, depending on which side you are working, in these different produce, even house liners, knit men's suits, netting. So let's look at the knit men's suit. Just the same thing, just as how I know she need you go to Abeokuta, all these adire. They're probably going to be exporting it, but individually, that is not a full export. But today, the destination of the knit men's suit as at 2021 gave them a total value of 2.67 million. But America alone was able to buy 87.8% of such. Kí ló ń pè ní knit men's suit? So just to say knit men's suit, so that we have an idea what they're talking about. While you are wearing okirika in Nigeria, this country is producing this kind of outfit and sending it to America. This is a country that is less than Lagos State, 11 million in population, called Dominican Republic. Why you, a Yoruba man, a Yoruba boy, a Yoruba woman, you are wearing second-hand outfit, is because we cannot produce enough for us to wear. That means we have to buy all this okirika that they are bringing from different parts of the world, and they sell it. And I saw an article that Dangote is actually saying to Buhari to stop okirika from coming to Nigeria. Let me bring that up quickly. I saw something on Legit TV or Legit Media, whatever they call. Okay, what's going on? Reload. Once again, you're watching a live program. My name is OLAMILEKAN. France, there's still firepower going on there. As you can see, they are protesting. But in Nigeria, we don't protest. We just pray and hope miracle is going to happen that will change the narrative. Okay, this is it. Why am I getting a break? According to Legit NG, Aliko Dangote has advocated for strong jail terms for dealer in foreign textiles materials. He also wants the federal government to make a lesson out of those arrested by ensuring there is no option of fine. Imported fabrics and clothing materials dominated Nigeria's domestic textile market. I don't get it. So, Aliko sọ fún Buhari pé the textile materials, for those dealing in the foreign textile materials. But in Dominican Republic, they are making up to $2.67 million as of 2021 by selling these to America, by selling it to Cuba, even Canada. Some of you, them and watch to in Canada, it is actually coming from Dominican Republic. And those of you in America, you might also be wearing outfit from Dominican Republic, which if we have a Yoruba nation or Biafra nation, Arewa nation, or if Nigeria was truly working, outfit of such should be coming to America. It does not matter whether Nigeria is a hot weather. We can still produce cold winter jackets that can be sold around the world, and we are making a lot of money. But Nigerians probably don't know that. But Americans are the one buying almost 87.8% of produce coming from a country is because it's now 12. So that's why the alarm is probably going to go off in about a few minutes. Once again, a very good evening or good morning, as we are now Saturday at 1 minute past 12. I'm thinking it's going to stop itself. Okay, it doesn't want to stop itself, so I don't know why I've put alarm in this my smart clock. It did the same thing. Okay, it's working with my spirit. As I picked it up, it actually stopped. You are still watching a live transmission, and my name is OLAMILEKAN. It is now 2 minutes past 12 midnight, and if you are not careful today, there could be a lot of April Fool. So be very, very careful with what kind of news that is going to be coming up on the social media. You might start seeing different things on social media. Remember, today is April Fool. Barbados, even Nicaragua, Jamaica, Panama, Haiti, Antigua. These are where all these produce are sold. Even Chinese Taipei, Venezuela, even Norway is buying from there, because Norway is also a very cold country. Bulgaria, other African country, other Europe country, Spain, Italy. So I'm asking Nigerians that why has it taken 63 years that we are not exporting enough to allow Nigerians that are now roaming around, they become criminals, drug baron, yahoo, Okada rider, KABIRU, and all kind of prostitute and different things in the country called Nigeria. This country, Dominican Republic, has 8 international airports serving 60 destinations. And I'm sure some of those destinations, as you can see, are where their produce end up. Now, let's look at banana again. Banana. Germany seems to be the highest buyer of the banana produce from Dominican Republic. Let's go to Oyo State, one of the biggest in Yoruba land, if not, about 33 local government. Kí ló dé táwa náà lè máa export ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ jíjẹ lọ sí Germany? Remember that there is no excuse. It's the same weather tí wọ́n ní ní Dominican Republic, làwa náà ní ní ilẹ̀ Yoruba, or Nigeria if you want to put it that way. But even UK, tell me what, I'm actually eating, and let's do something now. Let's close this. Banana from Dominican Republic to, so each time I travel, I go to the Spitalfield market. So there's probability that some of the banana that we are buying that goes into our stores, into our local market, are coming Republic of Dominica. So no country like one minute. Let me read what Africa saying there. Republic of Dominica. Okay, so which one are we dealing with there? You said I'm confusing you. This is the country we're talking about, Dominican Republic. We're talking about Dominican Republic. We've been talking about Dominican Republic, so not Republic of Dominica. We're actually been talking about Dominican Republic. So the statistics we've been talking about is Dominican Republic. The other country is the Republic of Dominica. So no country like Dominican Republic. Dominica is my pronunciation. I know it's Dominican. I understand. Okay, maybe it's my own pronunciation, Dominican. Maybe I'm not putting the N, but it's Dominican Republic. Yeah, I'm actually missing the N. Yeah. All right. So it's still the same thing. Yeah. So it's Dominican Republic. So it's the pronunciation. So we are not lost yet, my brother. So thanks so much. So it's called Dominican Republic. It's just that, I've been pronouncing it without the N. So it's just a pronunciation. But thank you so much for that correction. So it's called Dominican Republic, not Dominica Republic. It's Dominican Republic, so which is with the N. Now let's come, okay, banana to UK. Okay, ship banana with MS Global Reef Shipping. Let's see if we can find any evidence that it comes to UK. Now let's go to BBC. I've just picked up something here, and this was last year. Thank you so much once again. Dominican, not Dominica, Dominican. So in case you've been listening, it's called Dominican Republic, not Dominica. So it's Dominican Republic. Evidence is there, as we can say with this article. I don't know what it's about, but let's read. Family discovered 3 frogs in a bag of Sainsbury bananas. Wow. Frog again. Coming from that region, definitely. A 3 frog from Dominican Republic has turned up in a family Sainsbury shopping. Ian Holloway from Tarworth, Staffordshire, said his wife discovered a little amphibian seal inside a bag of fair trade bananas. We then all stood in the kitchen looking at each other, wondering what to do. He explained. Jenny. They called the RSPC. lórí ọpọlọ ló ń pè bẹ́ẹ̀. So this frog has traveled 4,300 miles, about 6,920 kilometer journey in a good condition. Mr. Holloway said his 12-year-old son did a bit of research while they were waiting for the RSPC to arrive, and from the markings identified a hoping visitor as a Hisponia common tree frog. It was a complete surprise to see this little creature in our kitchen so far from home, and we have all been a bit of chuckle about it since, Mr. Holloway said. The bag of banana arrived to the family home in a delivery from the supermarket giant. All the bananas will be recalled, I can imagine. In a statement, the farm apologized. It says cases like these were very rare and there were procedures in place to prevent them happening again. It added that it was investigating this incident with its supplier. Okay, so that shows that evidence still no chatting. Thank you so much once again, African Confidential, for reminding us that it is not Dominica, it is actually called Dominican Republic, so that we pronounce it. Now, export tí à ń sọ fún yín pé UK ń gba ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ jíjẹ, age ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ jíjẹ, ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀, monkey chop banana. That is the value of 70. Okay, mo fẹ́ ká sáré ṣe mass kan. There's something there that picked my mind. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ mọ̀ mass dáadáa, ẹ sáré bá mi wo journey yẹn. What is the distance between Nigeria and UK? Ìyẹn mo fẹ́, wà reach Jinadu quickly. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ní mass lórí, mo kí ìyàwó Fúnmilọ́lá Bello. From Dominican Republic to UK is 4,300 miles. It's about 6,920 kilometers. What is the distance from Nigeria to United Kingdom in miles and kilometers? I'm waiting to see if I can pick somebody that can give us that. Mokin Egbomi Akim Adio, Mokin Mr. Tunde Fata. And Tiba Mishoruko Emabinu is either because I've not seen your comment or because you are just a quiet listener. We're still waiting. Mr. Shitu Omowe Morimbe. So what is the kilometer? Sorry, bar multiplier. Nobody? Actually. Okay, Shaman Tomoni. All right. Wow. I'm the answer here. All right. But we know that from Dominican Republic is 4,300 miles. Let's do it ourselves. Nigeria to UK miles. How many miles it is? I can check it myself, but I thought maybe somebody can help us. So almost the same miles. 4,426.7 is the answer. We're reasoning 3,266. So a little bit more. Because Google is parody. So Google is saying it's about 4,000. So you're almost there. So about 1,000 more. Why are we not the ones sending these? Why is it that okay, my account Tony Froggy, why scary back home? And I think the lower pocket with the news in UK. When you read so, the United Kingdom increased the financial facility for Dominican Republic to $3 billion. So you can see that UK, according to this article in 2022 October, the United Kingdom increases the financial facilities for Dominican Republic to about $3 billion. Gbogbo supporting UK. So it's about 7,120. Now, why can't we be the same sending the sending okay. Sending ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ wá sí UK age ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ jíjẹ because happy new month to everyone. Yeah, it's a new month, April 4. Happy new month. Ẹ ṣé gan ni ìyá mi fún Lọ́lá Bello. If Dominican Republic bá lè máa fi ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ ránṣẹ́ wá sí UK, which is almost the same miles, kí ló dé táwa náà lè ṣe the same thing? It's because àwọn olùṣe politician tiwa oníjẹkújẹ, they are not interested in that. Kí ló dé tó ṣe jẹ́ tó ní frog láàrin látẹ̀ kan? I want a different one that's away from the only frog. Banana prices on increase. UK signs trade continuity agreement with Caribbean countries. Okay, in 2019. UK is always trying to make sure that, they can protect their interest against corruption. So the UK has today, in 2019, signed a trade continuity agreement with a series of countries in the Caribbean. The UK businesses and consumers will benefit from the trade continuity agreement, maintaining the current arrangement with countries in the Caribbean soon after Britain leaves EU. And that is what we are saying. The day that we leave Nigeria, they will have to sign a new agreement with us. But they don't want to do such. That is why today we are still struggling inside Nigeria. Once again, a very good evening. I still want to find a better, let's see if we can find a video. I don't know why I'm not getting anything apart from it. Only froggy. I don't want to see the one with the frog. UK fall in love again with fair trade bananas and coffee. Moving logistics to the next level, banana remains priority. Okay, let's look at this article. Moving logistics to on the next level, bananas remain the priority. The banana market is a fair stable, but it does have some big issues to contend with, such as the Panama disease with reckoning, blah, blah, blah. But at least you have an idea where we're going. Frog and Banana, Fox Inc. among 2022 rescue in the UK. Prices of bananas falls in the last decade despite production cost soaring. The new organic banana. A quarter of farms flooded for major banana exporter. This was in 2017. So I guess òjò tó rọ̀ ní bíá ní gbogbo ọ̀nà Dominican Republic ní officer. Let's read. So the second largest supplier, this is going to give us what we are looking for. Ṣé wàá mọ tó máa ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ni pé bí ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ yẹn ṣe ń wá láti UK máa wá lọ ní proper arrangement pẹ̀lú àwọn local farmers wọn nísàlẹ̀ lọ́hùn. UK also get banana from Panama. I won't be surprised because 27% péré nìkan ni wọ́n get láti Germany tẹ̀ ń gbá wọn gan sẹ̀. So Germany ló ń gba 31%, UK ń gba 27%. So that means there's a market for banana. So táwọn náà bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ń gbin ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ ní different part of Yoruba land today, it can get to the UK market. But ṣé mo bí tí problem táwọn máa ní ni pé Apapa port is not our own, it's under the federal government. So the bottleneck, ó lè gbin ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ lóòótọ́, kò package ẹ̀, refrigerated because you need to get it, ó sì gbọ́dọ̀ máa fresh tó máa fi gbé dé port tí wọ́n fi máa gbà sínú container tó jẹ́ container oní refrigerator. I don't know how these things work, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about because there's different containers that move different goods. But by the time tó bá gbé ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ yẹn láti Ondo State, wàláì kó tó dé Ọ̀yọ́ gbogbo ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ yẹn máa ti rà. How many people believe that? Because we are in Nigeria that has not prepared for export of ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀. Ìwọ tó wà nílé gan tí ìrọ̀ ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ jẹ, àwọn sọ pé a fi export it. And these also have different level, until sizes, command share and all these things, The second largest supplier of the bananas to Great Britain has around a quarter of its crop under the water in the wake of Hurricane Maria. Ṣé wá rí pé àwọn ọ̀nà Hurricane Maria ní weather tó ń bá gbogbo nǹkan dànù. Probably maybe just recently we saw a very bad weather in Kogi State and the southeast that destroyed a lot of things. But from record, we have the very beautiful weather that can produce, even if the world needs all this banana, we can produce it from Yoruba land. But the reason why it's not going to work is by the time the banana is ready, by the time the banana is not dé Ọ̀yọ́ State láti ibi tẹ́ bá ti ń gbé bọ̀ á ti rà. But tó bá jẹ́ pé Ondo State, tí mo sọ pé only has one local airport. Ondo people don't need to bring the banana to Lagos. The banana should be traveling by the plane, if that is what we are going to be using, if that is going to be cheaper, or by making sure that the waterways in Ondo State is ready to take a lot of ship. We can open up the port. We can open up the one in Ikorodu, and we can do a lot of things. But today, Germany, UK, Sweden, Netherlands, Ireland, Italy, Norway, Portugal. Why is it that all these European countries, apart from UK that have left there, are now interested to buy banana from Dominican Republic? It's because, let me remove it. Sorry about that. I didn't realize that I was not looking at my screen properly. Let's just finish watching it and I'll remove it.
I've heard it was a horrible war. 3 million people died. But we had to go, and you're going to have to go. And I said, why? He said, because they don't want you. People want to chart their own course. They have to feel secure in their own identity.
So that is Bill Clinton. I didn't realize that it was actually blocking and nobody actually. Maybe because I didn't know they were still blocking it because I was focused on the back end and I was not looking at the screen to see that Bill Clinton was blocking your view. So we have just 2 hours 20 minutes. I'll get the phone line open in 10 minutes so that we have about maybe an hour, to call into the program so that you can add your own input before we start going. Happy New Month. Yoruba nation can compete with the world. But being part of Nigeria is a big problem and is actually taking us backwards. We can live in denial. Lagos government changed our own to Banana Island. Okay. So let's go back again. So we are talking about banana now, or gedejije, and already we've been able to verify that the one coming from Dominican Republic is not that far if we are also sending it from Nigeria. We can export bananas. We can start growing bananas and make sure it gets to UK. So let's go and now look at banana farmers and workers, fair trade, Dominican Republic. Okay, this video will be good for us. Let's watch the video. So these are banana farmers. And we hope that they are getting the right pay as well, which is what I say, fair trade. I don't know the copyright, but let's watch this video. KOKORO, bringing the world closer to your doorstep. Happy New Month, Grandma, Comfort, Adelaide, Eshigoni.
Best-loved fruits. We eat 5 billion of them a year in the UK.
Did you hear that? We need 5 billion of them every year in the UK. So there is a market for it. States will need a Yoruba only be Ogedesi. States will only need climate here because it might not be all the Yoruba states. Show those states will no man be Ogededada no. Show those states may be Oyo state. Let's watch the video once again.
This is a story about some of the people who produce bananas for us in a country called Panama. And
so Panama lele missing.
Their journey to getting a fairer deal, supported by fair trade. The story starts over 100 years ago. The United Fruit Company started exporting bananas from Panama. By the 1950s, the banana industry was flourishing, but just one company controlled all banana production. While they profited from this industry, thousands of workers received very low wages, and entire communities often lived in poverty. Chito Quintero was one of the leaders of Cubana. He started working on banana plantations at the age of 10 and taught himself to read and write because he didn't have the opportunity to go to school. Things are very different now for his community. The big change started in 1991 when 74 courageous workers decided enough was enough and took their future into their own hands.
I love that part. I look what because only by anything. Cherry, asking for something you need. At the beginning, hey, Yoruba Ogiri. Everybody just come, everybody come. But eventually, we will know the real people that will end up the fight for Yoruba nation. Thank you so much, Idowu Michael. I will rewind it again. One hour on the day, key numbers are on the day, 77 workers say they had enough. How many people will eventually say we've had enough in Nigeria and we will bring Nigeria down peacefully? Let me just use that word. But everybody knows there's nothing called peace. Some plantains, some other different species. One in Aligbini or your state, and Aligbini Ondo state as well. A very good evening, good morning, and welcome. Let's go back and listen to that part again.
Started in 1991.
So in 1991, something started to change. Just as in 2019, the Yoruba people started calling Yoruba nation not going back. Gideon, good morning to you. But some people are saying, Nigeria cannot break. You are just 419, you are a scammer, you are this, you are that. But the reality is done in their eyes, but they cannot see it. The reality is there, but they cannot smell it. But one day, they will come back and they watch some of our videos and they will say, boy, there's a bell. Simon Ekpa dẹ̀ sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ o, Ìgbòho dẹ̀ sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ o. But because kò tí ì dán sí wọn, but ní 1991 kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ ní 1991 midway tí nǹkan náà fi change.
When 74 courageous
74, not even 77. 74 people, courageous. Ẹgbẹ́ bó ṣe pè wọ́n, courageous workers.
workers decided enough was enough.
Decided that enough is enough. Níjọ́ wo ni enough is enough máa ṣẹlẹ̀ ní Nàìjíríà? Enough is enough. Níjọ́ wo ló máa ṣẹlẹ̀? Some say it's never going to happen. I know it will happen because the frustration will kick in. Àwọn kan máa rí ṣe, àwọn kan ò lè rí ṣe. Bí ṣe sọ fún yín kò ń ṣe pé Nigeria is a death trap that is holding us back.
And took their future into their own.
When are we going to take our own future? They took their future. They took their future. Wọ́n fi ayé wọn sí ọwọ́ ara wọn. They took their future in their hands. I'm blaming Baba Akintoye, Baba it is something. I'm blaming Igboho. I'm blaming koikimedia. But your future is in your hands. Is either we comprehend or complement each other, or we live the fake life and the packaging life in Nigeria where everybody is Jeranyilese. As we speak right now, there's so many places around Nigeria tonight. They are calling God. God has listened to us, but we have not activated. God is not going to come down. God has already listened to our prayers. But one thing is, the human side of it would also have to be effective. Let's go back again.
Hands. They negotiated a bank loan and bought the land they were farming, and Cubana Banana Cooperative was born. But despite now owning the land, they were locked into 10-year contracts with one company.
It was hard for them.
Just as we are locked in Nigeria, and people are now saying the 1914 amalgamation have expired. But it has expired, but they are not letting us go. And people that wants to go, that we don't like the Igbo people, but we want them to remain in Nigeria. But yet we don't want them to live with us because we believe that they are going to take our land, which is precious to us, for some of us. Just as the Hausas have also been taken in that lock by the Fulanis. Most of the governors in the north are Fulanis. They are not real Hausas.
The people, a lot of desperation. The cooperative wasn't able to make progress. It made people feel disheartened, and it was difficult to carry on working positively. We had to encourage people, because otherwise it wasn't possible to survive.
Nevertheless, we kept fighting for the organization to see better days. Bit by bit, we paid off the loan by working and sweating, and we started the fight to break the monopoly.
Breaking the monopoly. Who is going to break the monopoly where Dangote, BUA, and all these criminals are the one controlling, just as we showed you earlier on, Dangote telling the government about foreign, whatever that he was talking about in that article. Too many monopoly in Nigeria. And everybody knows them. Individual and different organization. Too many monopolies.
Cubana wasn't breaking even due to one thing, the price of bananas. There was no escape. Cubana dared to become independent. It felt like a suicidal step, but we had to find a way to overcome this position.
We must find a way. So this is just a clear evidence. We must find a way. It is not going to be easy. But we must find a way to get ourselves free. Once again, this is why we are saying, that we can live today, but our generation tó ń bọ̀ ńkọ́. Táwa bá ní a fẹ́ survive ẹ̀ nísìnyí, ṣé àwọn tó ń bọ̀ ní ọ̀la máa lè survive ẹ̀? Just as bí àwa ṣe sọ, our comfort with Nigeria lack management and preservations. These bananas won't survive the journey to the final customers. Ìyẹn náà mo ṣe sọ pé ojú títì ní gbogbo ẹ̀ máa rẹ̀ ó máa rà sí pátápátá. Ẹ ṣé gan-an Ọ̀túnba. Ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ yóò ní láti kúrò lóńdó kó kọ́kọ́ máa lọ sí Lagos State Port ká tó lè sẹ́ndẹ̀. Tá a bá ní rail network tó dáadáa láti ibi tí ẹ bá ti ń ṣe ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ yẹn nínú farm yẹn lọ́ọ́ ti máa exported straight lọ sínú sea. That's tó bá tẹ̀ jẹ́ pé Ondo State ò ní omi tí ship máa dọ́ọ̀kì sí. There's so many ways we can move it. This is part of the technology, innovation, and I can imagine that there are just a lot of opportunities. Ọ̀tọ̀ làwọn tó ń ṣe pálí nísìnyí because wọ́n need the pálí constantly láti fi export ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ yìí. So there is different, and when we go back to that graph of this Dominican Republic, you can tell that Germany tó bá rí ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ láti area yẹn ara máa ní wọ́n. Germany ní owó tó ń fi ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ but àwọn ló máa supply it. And these are countries ṣe mọ reason táwọn ò ṣe lè gbin ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ yẹn àwọn ò ní the kind of ilẹ̀. Packaging is another main business bẹ́ẹ̀ni it's a main thing. Mo kí Mr. Eniola. Mo fẹ́ ká wo àwọn countries tí wọ́n ń kó àwọn ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ yẹn lọ. Ẹ kàn fún mi ní ọ̀kan náà country yẹn tí kápọ̀ lọ wo background wọn. Kí ló dé táwọn máa gbin ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀? Ṣé torí àwọn jẹ́ ìlú olótùtù àbí wọn ní the right ilẹ̀ láti fi gbin ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀? Àbí ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ yẹn ò ní jẹ́ authentic, organic? Àwọn máa láti ṣe tí wọ́n ní chemical, which is what a lot of us are eating abroad. And that is why organic produce is more expensive than non-organic tó bá lọ sínú store, especially here in UK. Tó bá máa jẹ organic, ó máa ná owó gidi. But tó bá máa jẹ oríṣàgbúrú ṣàgbàrà. Okay, so Mr. Bidemini is because of the weather. So weather ò ní kò jẹ́ káwọn ìlú yìí because wọ́n try láti wọ́n bá ó ṣe wá jẹ́ àwọn European country ló pọ̀ jù níbẹ̀. Germany, Netherlands, àmọ̀kò UK ò sí lára EU mọ́. Sweden, Belgium, Switzerland, Denmark gan wà níbẹ̀. Kódà US gan náà wà níbẹ̀. US náà ra ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ wọn to the value of $3 million. Trinidad and Tobago, Spain, kódà Luxembourg náà rà lọ́wọ́ wọn. Èèyàn ará Canada náà ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ Dominican wá sọ́dọ̀ yín lọ́hùn. Curacao, Saint Kitts and Nevis. Èèyàn ará Kuwait náà rà ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ wọn. Luxembourg. So ìbéèrè tí ká and other Europe. And this is just something that bí ọba àwọn òṣèré graphic tá a bá fi ń ṣe program lójoojúmọ́ ká break it down pé gbogbo tí wọ́n export nílùú yìí ṣé àwa náà lè export ẹ̀ láti inú ilẹ̀ Yorùbá? Ẹ jẹ́ ká kọ́kọ́ sọ yẹn. Ẹ jẹ́ ká máa mú lẹ́yọ kọ̀ọ̀kan. Gold, ta ní gold nílẹ̀ Yorùbá? Tàbá àwọn kan tí bá sọ yẹn ẹ̀yin kan máa sọ yes or no ká fi mọ̀. So a fẹ́ wo gbogbo tí wọ́n export láti ìlú yìí which is just 11 million. So èyí tí bá ti dárúkọ ẹ kàn máa sọ yes or no. Ṣá ní gold nílẹ̀ Yorùbá? Ṣá ní raw tobacco nílẹ̀ Yorùbá? Ṣá lè export medical instrument? Ṣá lè export jewelry? Ṣá lè export precious metal scrap? Ṣá lè export platinum? Ṣá lè export imitation jewelry tí ẹ̀yin ìyá wa máa lọ rà káàkiri ní gbogbo àgbáyé? Ṣá lè export silver? Ṣá lè export centrifuge? Ṣá lè export raw tobacco? Ṣá lè export hard liquor, cocoa beans, raw sugar, other edible preparation, baked goods, other processed fruit and nuts, fruit juice, other processed vegetables, sauce and seasoning, processed tobacco, molasses, prepared cerelac, alcohol, 80% ABV, wine, animal food, jams, malta extract, cocoa butter, beer, flavor water, pasta, chocolate, conventional sugar, sausage, ice cream, frozen vegetable, other foodstuff, therapeutic appliance, orthopedic appliance, microscopes, chemical analysis instruments, base metal watches, precious metal watches, other instruments. Mo miss àwọn kankan bẹ́ẹ̀ o, mo kàn ń jump wọn. Special pharmaceuticals, candles. Báwo ló ṣe ṣe candle náà? Okay, molasses is a natural sugar. Àwọn èèyàn tó ní ọpọlọ wà lórí program. Ẹgbẹ́ mi, wọ́n ní molasses is a natural sugar. Ẹ ṣe gan ni. Busy 1, 2, 3. Ẹ̀yẹ ká ṣe máa sọ lọ. Mixed mineral and chemical fertilizers. Ìyẹn ni Dangote ṣe fẹ́ make sure pé kò tún sẹ́ni kankan. Ẹ mọ̀ pé fertilizer wà lára tí Dangote máa ṣe ní plant yẹn. Òun á dominate market yẹn sínú Nigeria àti Africa country. Òun á máa lówó bí yẹ̀pẹ̀. Àwa dẹ̀ ní Nigeria dẹ̀ ló báàkì Dangote tó fi lọ yá gbogbo owó tó yá níta. Báwo ló ṣe ṣe candle? Ta ló mọ bó ṣe ṣe candle? Ẹ ká máa continue. Máa check scent mixture. Àwọn kìíní scent yẹn, àwọn kìíní ẹ̀dẹ̀ mi tó bá lọ lo the wrong one. Ọlọ́mọ yẹn kí oríṣiríṣi spirit máa yọ sí ẹ nínú ilé. Dangote is one of Nigerian biggest problems. Kí ló dé tí YouTube mi tó ń rò? Ṣé a ní stress lórí program yẹn? Àbí mi mọ̀ rí bẹ́ẹ̀? Are we having problem on the YouTube? Because I can see that the YouTube is on roll. I don't know why. Get me the látọ̀dọ̀ mi níbí báyìí. Is our YouTube working perfectly? Báwo ló ṣe ṣe candle? The YouTube is fine. Okay, ṣé gan-an tún wà? Ẹ yẹ ká padà sórí àwọn ọ̀tá ń wò yẹn náà. Textile footwear, rubber footwear, waterproof footwear. Wọ́n kọ́ àwọn ilé export ṣá. Processed hair. Àwọn obìnrin tó máa ń ṣe irun. So ìlú wo ló ń ra irun lọ́wọ́ wọn gan-an? Amẹ́ríkà yìí náà ni. So 80% processed hair. Kódà wọ́n ta fake hair gan sef. Mo rí nǹkan kan tó sọ pé fake hair nísìnyí. Mo ti rí yẹn náà. I saw fake hair nísìnyí. Fake hair. Àwọn ìyá wa tó máa ń lo oríṣiríṣi ohun yẹn. The cold climate banana cannot survive. The cold climate banana cannot survive. Candle is made from burning wax and a wick. Okay, thank you so much. So United States wà lára àwọn tó ń ra fake hair. Ẹ̀rọ fún àwọn èèyàn pọ̀ l'Amẹ́ríkà, gbogbo èèyàn àtẹ̀mọ́ ló ń ṣe irun. Àwọn France náà ń rà lọ́wọ́ wọn. Ìgbálẹ̀ wọ́n ta ìgbálẹ̀ náà. Excuse me, kí ló mean by low voltage protection equipment? Ẹ̀yin engineer, kí ló mean by that? Broadcasting equipment, telephone, centrifuge, insulated wire, electrical transformer, audio alarms, carbon date. Now, all these produce táwọn export yìí, mo fi béèrè ṣáwọn ló ń ṣe fúnra wọn ní àbáwọn náà kọ́ máa rà lọ́mọ wá export ẹ̀ torí kò tẹ̀lé yé mi mọ́ báyìí. I think I'm lost. Because they are producing a lot of stuff that they are exporting. That means they are. Àwọn náà ní nǹkan tó ń import wọlé o. Ó wà lára nǹkan tí a máa ti check later. But my question is, why is a country like that messed up country called Nigeria? They manufacture and they export. Wow. So gbogbo tí mo ń kà yìí, wọ́n máa manufacture ẹ̀, wọ́n á dẹ̀ export ẹ̀. but at least àtẹ̀tí rẹ́ evidence ẹ̀ náà bá tẹ̀lé kankan àṣàrí ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ jíjẹ lẹ́ẹ̀kan. Okay, I'm play video yẹn lọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan. I want to see if we can find another one. Àmọ́ pẹ̀lú rẹ̀ ó lágbára o. It's a big shame that Nigeria banana mostly survives in thick forest. But thick forest pọ̀ dáadáa l'Ondo state náà àti ní Ọ̀yọ́. That's why many people travel to their country to work. Okay. Interesting. Now, àwọn náà ní nǹkan táwọn náà import wá sílùú wọn. Tàbá wo àwọn nǹkan tó import, they're importing a couple of things as well. No, nǹkan tó import. Cars definitely will produce motor. Not talking ṣe Germany. So Japan ló ń gbé mọ́tò wá tó pọ̀ jù at America. So they're probably using the same, owó America wọn náà lò ní àbí. South Korea, ibi táwọn yẹn ti good nìyẹn. Germany, I won't be surprised. Sweden. So Brazil náà máa ń produce motor. America ló la gbogbo wọn. Japan ló tẹ̀lé àti South Korea. Interesting. Indian àwọn ọmọ máa ń sẹ́ni gbogbo kẹ̀kẹ́ márúwá tẹ máa ń drive káàkiri àwọn Indian ń sẹ́ndẹ̀ wá sọ́dọ̀ yín. What an interesting graph. So going by this now, you can see that in 2021, Dominican Republic imported 24.5 billion, making it the number 76 trade destination in the world. During the last 5 reported years, the import of Dominican Republic changed by 6.89 billion from 17.7 billion in 2016 to 24.5 billion. Now, exports, let's go to the export. In 2021, Dominican Republic exported a total of 12.9 billion, making it the number 87 exporter in the world. Kí ni Nigeria wà in terms of exports? Nigeria exports to the world. Nigeria exports to the world. Exports. Let's try again. Nigeria exports to the world. Right. Okay, so we got it. In 2021, Nigeria exported a total of 57.7 billion, making it the number 52 exporter in the world during the last 5 years reports. The export of Nigeria have changed by 19.7 billion from 38 billion in 2006. If their own is about 12 billion in 2021, Nigeria one is 57 billion. Ṣé bóyá kí Nàìjíríà ṣe ju ẹ bá mi sáré ṣe maths ẹ̀ èyí tẹ́ mọ maths dáadáa. Tí Nigeria is 57 point Nigeria one is 57.7 billion, while Dominican Republic ìlú tó ju 11 million àwọn ṣe 12.9 billion. ṣèbí Nàìjíríà ó gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe ju tiwọn lọ. If Nigeria was truly a working country, kí lẹ rò pé export wa gbọ́dọ̀ máa jẹ́ roughly? Giant of Africa na all mount we get. Ẹ jẹ́ ká lọ wo South Africa. South Africa yẹn la tún máa fi gauge ẹ̀. South Africa export to the world. What is the South Africa biggest export? No. Value the move. Let us break it down by the most recent exports are led by platinum, iron ore, diamonds, coal, bricks. The most common destination for the export of South Africa are China, United States, Germany. Okay, so it's the same organization and not share. Okay, so we might be able to find the Nigerian one as well in there. Okay. We need to register for long. I love this kind of data. The data ló máa jẹ́ kó mọ̀ bí ìlú bá ṣiṣẹ́ tó bá ṣiṣẹ́. So ẹ jẹ́ ká wo export to South Africa. Ṣé wọ́n kọ sí bíbá ìṣá? Okay, so all right, interesting. So that was pé ti Nigeria náà máa wà nìyẹn. Ẹ jẹ́ ká wo ti Nigeria. Okay. The observer of, okay. All right, this is Nigeria one. Okay, interesting. Wow. Iṣẹ́ ti wà tá máa ṣe lórí program wa. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Wow. Okay. So ti Nigeria lélẹ́yìí yẹn ṣàkọ́kọ́ bookmark ẹ̀ àti ríṣẹ́ ṣe lórí program wa. Because ẹ̀mọ̀rí mo ti ní àti ríṣẹ́ ṣe ni pé now a lè máa wo ìlú kọ̀ọ̀kan tó ń gbàbọ̀dè fúnlẹ̀ Yorùbá tí kò ní já lọ. Ẹ̀jẹ̀ kọ́kọ́ lọ wo crude petroleum àwọn wo ló ń gbà ibo ló ń lọ. So crude Nigeria fún wa ní 41.8 billion ní value ẹ̀ as at 2021 lélẹ̀. Abdullahi mean they must add killing and kidnapping in that analysis. So what we need to now look into is ìlú wo ló ń gba epo wa jù? Òun mo kọ́kọ́ fẹ́ wò ní gbogbo. Wow, so India ń jẹ epo lára wa gan. India ló máa ń jẹ epo tó pọ̀ jù kẹ́. 19.4%. China, mélòó ni China ń jẹ? China dà. Glasses mi máa ríran kẹ́. China is 2.45% only at the value of $1 billion. So Indian is getting more of Nigerian crude oil láti ilẹ̀ Igbo. Tàbí àti maybe ilẹ̀ Igbo náà ló ti pọ̀ jù tó ti ń gba 8.11 billion. So àti níṣẹ́ tá a máa fi ṣe program tó pọ̀ continuously. We're gonna focus on some of these because now we can now start asking a lot of questions. So ẹ jẹ́ kí n sáré fún yín láwọn ìlú tí crude oil lọ sọ́dọ̀ wọn láti Nàìjíríà. Spain 12.9%. Ẹ máa kọ sílẹ̀ o. It is Indian as they have their fastest growing economy. Okay. Yes, so Indian need epo tó pọ̀ láti máa fi ṣe factory wọn. While our so táwọn bá wá gbé crude oil, wá máa dá produce padà sọ́dọ̀ tiwa àdìbẹ́kọ̀. France 6.9%. Netherlands 5%, 5.05%. UK tèmi wà àwọn náà ń jẹ díẹ̀ ní epo wa 2.83%. And I'm very sure that they might be hiding some data. I won't be surprised. So especially lórí ti Nigeria. Ta ló agree pẹ̀lú mi bẹ́ẹ̀? with probability that they will be hiding some of these data because one there carry gbogbo. Germany 2.69%, Portugal 2.51%, Indonesia 4.61%, Singapore 1.74%, even Thailand 1.6%, Turkey no 1.24%, Chinese Taipei 0.43%, Brunei Brunei tún gbà ní crude oil wa ni ibi mo rò pé àwọn ní crude oil. China 2.45%, South Korea 1.21%, Vietnam 0.21%. Torí ọmọ Yorùbá, I hope you are now saying that ìyà tó ń jẹ wọ àwọn ìlú tó ń jẹ crude oil Nigeria wọ ọmọgọ. You want to kill yourself on Nigeria, but look at what Nigeria is making from your crude oil. 72.5%. Nigeria actually made $41 billion in export on the crude oil. Yeah, I won't be surprised that they're not going to give us every analysis, especially the UK one. They'll probably say, South Africa and genuine 5.8%. It's not the one jail one running. US 6.7%, Canada 3.3%, Brazil 1.4%, Peru. And this is where I come to another sector. International export. Gas, petroleum gas. So the petroleum gas, China don't buy to pọ̀ jù 16.7%. Èwo ló tún pè ní ẹ má bínú ẹjọ́ èwo ní petroleum gas nǹkan béèrè ní o kí ló ń pè ní petroleum gas because mo mọ tán pè ní crude petroleum èwo tún ní petroleum gas ẹ̀yin engineer ni ẹ̀yin oil and gas people ẹ wà lórí program ẹ là wá lóye o èwo ní petroleum gas ṣáwọn bíi gas tó máa ń lọ sínú mọ́tò àwọn Amẹ́ríkà ló máa ń fi gas yìí liquefied natural gas okay. Liquefied natural gas. So wọ́n máa fi heat ilé àbí ìgbà wà tí òtútù máa mú báyìí. Wọ́n ní jẹ́ ká connect NTA pẹ̀lú bíbá yìí. Sórí ìwọ ọmọ Yorùbá for the next week program táwọn máa ṣe òun ní bíbá analysis. Sherry, it's good that we have come across this because mo tẹ̀ wá mọ̀ pé Nàìjíríà náà wà lára ìtàn máa sọ nínú ẹ̀ because Dominica la fi bẹ̀rẹ̀ ṣẹ́ni bí Ọlọ́run ṣe máa ń ṣọlẹ̀ ìgbà tí mo wá rí ti South Africa náà ti Nàìjíríà náà máa wà bẹ́ẹ̀ ẹ̀jẹ̀ fi ti South Africa sí ẹ̀jẹ̀ kọ́kọ́ sọ ti ìlú tèmi náà. Now àwọn òbí tó ń jẹ lára Nàìjíríà ní gbogbo ilé nísìnyí àwọn òbí yìí torí gbogbo òbí tó ń wò nísìnyí àwọn tó ń jẹ lára wa nìyẹn àwọn tó ń jẹ lára wa nìyẹn kò yẹ nísìnyí ẹ jẹ́ ká lọ wo refined petroleum. Èwo tún ní refined petroleum America ló ń jẹ tó pọ̀ jù 56.6%. Mr. Jimmy èwo ní refined petroleum ṣé ìtọ́ ti refine kò yé mi o àgbà o kí ló mean by refined petroleum ṣáwọn ní bíi Koiki not your country or Yoruba land is your country bẹ́ẹ̀ ni but Nigeria ó sì ń operate tó operate as a country. Èwo ló ń pè ní refined petroleum? Waiting for the comment. Petroleum that has been refined like kerosene and paraffin. Okay. So wọ́n refine ilé nínú Nàìjíríà àwa tà síta bá àbí báwo kò yé mi. Tó fi di pa Amẹ́ríkà ń ra ètò pọ̀ jù níbẹ̀. Kí ni Amẹ́ríkà fi ń ṣe? Ẹ má bínú pé mo ń béèrè ìbéèrè tó pọ̀ lálẹ́ yìí. Kí ni Amẹ́ríkà ń fi refine kìíní ẹ̀ kí ló ń fi ń ṣe? Kí ni Amẹ́ríkà fi ń ṣe? Ṣé wọ́n store ẹ̀ ní àbí báwo? Kerosene. Àwọn èèyàn wà ní Nàìjíríà tó ti rí kerosene lò. Àwọn ń sẹ́ndẹ̀ káàkiri àgbáyé. Torí pé Nàìjíríà yẹn ìlú òṣèlú yẹn ṣá. Netherlands náà máa ń rà níbẹ̀. It used to be, unfortunately, the refineries are not working. Gulf. Germany, UK, 7.9%. Belgium, 11%. They use them for heavy industries. Okay. Since that was an industry, so I can't down sit down. Àwọn olówó ń jẹ gbogbo owó yìí nísìnyí torí Ọlọ́run. Ṣé pàtẹ ní àwọn kan tó tó iná ọ̀tọ̀ ń jẹ káàkiri? Kódà ẹ jẹ́ ká tó lọ wo another sector. Tin Orioles. Àwọn ló ń jẹ yẹn. Malaysia. Kí ló ń pè ní tin Orioles? Bọ̀ gbọ́dọ̀ lọ wá nǹkan tó ń jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀. Ẹ wo image ẹ̀. Tin Orioles. Kí nìyẹn? Kí ló ń jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀? The tin Orioles is known as cassiterite, which was reported in Dantewara district by the Directorate of Geology and Mining associated with Lipidote. Ipa àwọn náà ní nǹkan tó tó yìí nínú Nàìjíríà yẹn. Malaysia ló ra èyí tó pọ̀ jù lẹ̀ to the value of 137 million. You can see why Nigeria is going to be very difficult to break. Interesting. Thailand náà wọ̀n sí ń bẹ̀. China, Burma, ẹ̀ka tó lọ wo a tó ń ta electricity síta. Benin Republic ló ń ra náà wájú 43.2%. Niger kẹ̀ ìlú àwọn Fúlàní tí wọ́n sanwó ṣàbọ̀fẹ́ ló ń gbà lọ́wọ́ wa 34%. Orioles are raw forms of minerals. Orioles are raw forms of minerals. Ẹ pé orí platform yìí ìyẹn máa kọ́ oríṣiríṣi ẹ̀kọ́. Ẹ̀yà ara mi ẹ̀ máa gbà mí kẹ́rì tí mo lanú lẹ̀ka ẹ̀. A tún ń taná fún Togo. So ìlú mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta táwọn taná fún lélẹ̀ àwọ̀ ọ̀dẹ̀ níná. Niger à ń taná fún Niger. Àwọn ará Ìbàdàn rẹ̀ níná, àwọn ará Ìjẹ̀bú ò níná. Ilé ìlágbára o. Ọ̀gá o, ẹ jẹ́ ká tún lọ wo nǹkan míì. Lead Oriole. China tẹ̀ ló ra gbogbo yẹn ṣá. China nìkan ló ra gbogbo yẹn, wọ́n tẹ̀ jẹ́ kí ìlú mi túra. China nìkan ló ra gbogbo lead Oriole wa at $73 million. Kí ló wá fi gbogbo owó tó ń rí yìí kí ló fi ń ṣe tí Nàìjíríà fi tẹ̀síwájú tó fi wà lójú kan? Aláwa o. Kí la tún tà? Coal tar oil, zinc, Oriole. Mo rí coal tar yẹn nísìnyí lónìí ẹni gbogbo sá lọ sí. Fedustar. Àwọn kan náà ń jẹnu rẹ̀, wọ́n ń jẹ Nàìjíríà yẹn dáadáa o. China náà ló tún ra yẹn tó pọ̀ jù. Malaysia, Hong Kong àti Thailand. Àwọn ló ń ra destination of Libyan, Catalum, Vanadium, Zirconium, Oriole. Total of $61.3 million. Zinc Oriole. China nìkan ló ra yẹn, àwọn tẹ̀jẹ̀kẹ́ lómi rà. Kóòtà ẹ má bínú, ṣé kóòtà yẹn ni ta sí máa ń sọ pé Ondo State ló ní the biggest bitumen. Mr. Jimmy ẹ wà pẹ̀lú mi lálẹ́. Ṣé kóòtà yẹn ni nǹkan mú understand? Kí ló ń mean by kóòtà oil? Ẹ jẹ́ ká sáré wò yẹn. Kóòtà oil. Kí ló ń jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀? Oil. Kí ló ń jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀? Òun náà fi ń ṣọ̀dá títì. Being flammable, coal tar is sometimes used for heating or to fire boiler. Like most heavy oil, it must be heated before it will flow easily. It is used for tarring the road. Àwa dẹ̀ ní àwọn títì tó ṣiṣẹ́ Nàìjíríà, àwa export ilé. Kí ló dé tá àkọ́kọ́ fi gbogbo ilé ìtú Nàìjíríà ṣe náà? Irú ìlú wo la wà báyìí lórí Olódùmarè? Ẹ hàn kí mo rírun kan báyìí rí ṣá. Amẹ́ríkà ń rà lọ́wọ́ wa àti Belgium. It is used for tarring roads. Ókè wọn náà máa ń lò yẹn. How is coal tar formed? Look our video. Wow.
And now let's come to coal. Coal is probably one of the most important sources of energy in the world. So important that it's even often referred to as black gold. So, what is coal? See, what happens is, long back, millions of years back, there was of course living things on the earth, right? Living matter like plants and animals and trees, so on and so forth. So once they died, they basically mixed with the soil, and a lot of changes happened. The ground moved, a lot of geological changes, so they get deeper and deeper buried into the soil, all this matter, all this dead matter. And because of the extreme temperature and pressure, a lot of chemical changes take place, and they finally become compounds, or you can say mostly carbon and few other compounds, say sulfur, magnesium, so on and so forth. But this final compound is what we call coal. So coal is just basically
To continue watching, send your phone number. Oriyoko, you will send phone number. We see from YouTube.
decompose integrated living matter. Okay, and the thing is, under the earth we find like large deposits of this coal, and this coal is very good fuel. It can burn very well and produce a lot of energy. If you look at the power supply of the world or the energy consumption of the world, I think coal provides about 30 to 40% energy consumption. You can imagine how important coal is. So this coal is mined, as I said.
The problems of our people is much of spiritual and not. About the comment comment the problems of our people is much of spiritual and not education. In as much as I appreciate all your effort, I think we should focus in liberating our people spiritually. Ẹ jẹ́ káwọn kan máa ṣe yẹn aláàjì. Ẹ jẹ́ kémi máa ṣe education still spiritual yẹn. Ẹ mọ̀ pé ìyàwó Jẹ́nà Fáṣákì ojoojúmọ́ ló ń ṣe prayer. Mo ṣì rí nínú group wa tí mo wà nínú group kan tí oníṣẹ̀ṣe àwọn ní chọ́ọ̀chì àti onímọ̀ṣáláṣí 3-in-1. So everybody cannot be doing everything. Láti focus lórí nǹkan kan. So this is ibi òun nípa ti spiritual yẹn, but I'm sure maybe kákọ̀ máa sọ̀rọ̀ lórí the feel pé àtúndé ṣe. We can talk about that, which is very good. So láti encourage àwọn èèyàn. Ẹ mọ̀ pé mo sọ́nà nínú program kalẹ́ àná tẹ́ bá wà pẹ̀lú mi tí mo ní 2 years ago ni wọ́n ti ó dà pé mi àti náà sọ̀rọ̀ ní lórí nígbà kan lọ́ ti rán àwọn èèyàn lọ sí Senegal láti lọ ṣe iṣẹ́ fún Kenya àti Yorùbá nation kó má bọ̀ sí. So I am not surprised pé ìjàfàgbé dání is more of spiritual, but at the end of the day I have said it even with the movie tí mo sọ pé Shadow and Bone tí mo wò lórí Netflix. We are in a shadow and bone olóró Nigeria. And tó bá ti wo fíìmù yìí movie yìí ló máa lè understand what I mean by that. But boy, ó bínú ó wá block gbogbo ìlú méjèèjì. Wọ́n á fi Benin Republic àti Nigeria ṣe àpèjúwe. Ó release kàṣà sọ pé bí a kind of an energy tó release yẹn ó dẹ̀ block the whole 2 countries. Tẹ́ bá wá fẹ́ lọ láti country kan sí country kan, ẹ lè survive because of monsters and different things tó máa jẹ yín kẹ́tó cross over. Kó tó di pé bèbí ìwà dé òun ni another energy. So energy tiẹ̀ tó bá tanná àwọn monsters yẹn máa sá. So definitely Nigeria is a demonic country. Wọ́n ti block ojú àwọn èèyàn gbogbo tí mo sọ ìpè yẹ́lò mi. The name is called Shadow and Bone òun ẹ̀ wò yìí. So bèbí òun gan ọmọ òun ní energy lára until tí wọ́n gbé wọn wọnú inú that darkness ó kọ̀ release energy yẹn òun gan ọmọ energy wà lára ẹ̀. So I am not surprised that Nigeria is in a real darkness, and Nigerians have been kept in that darkness. So even as much as we are okay, ẹ̀wọ̀n nǹkan tí mò ń ṣe lálẹ́ yìí nísìn, how many even in tó lọ sí school gan ló understand it? There will just be ẹ lọ sórí Facebook nísìn. Some of them don't even know the country that their produce is traveling to, that is meant to be giving Nigeria, money. They don't know because they are just dumbfounded because what it comes in shadow and bone, shadow and bone in Nigeria wà. But láàárín shadow and bone yẹn náà ni light táwa kan tá à ń pariwo. Tó bá yẹ pé à pariwo láti ọdún mẹ́ta nísìn, ẹ kàn lè imagine kí làwọn máa sọ nísìn. So in as much as ìyẹn la ti sọ fún àwọn ìbámu yẹn ó ti pẹ́ jù promise wa ká máa kúrò ní Nàìjíríà. Ìbọn làwọn wò nísìn. Amẹ́ríkà ń ra ìkan náà àwọn materials tí àwa fúnra wa gún sef, coal and tar yẹn là ń wò lọ nísìn. Amẹ́ríkà ló ń ra 63.6%. Ẹ lọ sí gbogbo Nàìjíríà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá lóde nísìn. Nothing is working. Belgium, mélòó ni wọ́n ní Belgium? Gbogbo population Belgium lálẹ́ yìí nísìn, tá a bá lọ wo Belgium. So tí bá wá sọ, so I agree with you, Alhaji, pé it's spiritual, but we hope that àwọn kan máa gbéṣẹ́ ọ̀rọ̀ spiritual yẹn, wọ́n máa gbé dáadáa. So that káwa máa ṣe education lọ, so that ká máa contradict gbogbo ẹ̀, kó má jẹ́ pé Koiki ló tún máa sọ pé ẹjẹ́ àwa lọ ṣe spiritual o. But definitely we can encourage our people to work on the spiritual and let us break away from this demonic country. Nigeria is a demonic country. Wọ́n dẹ̀ ti lọ́kẹ̀ kò ṣe léèmí. Ìyẹn la ṣe máa ń sọ pé kò ṣe pé àdúrà ò ní gbà. But àwọn kan náà ti release spirit kan sínú Nàìjíríà. Àwọn spirit ẹ̀mí òkùnkùn burúkú tó ń jà lọ tó ń bọ̀. But we know that we will be free. So if you look at Belgium today, Belgium is 11 million. And they are part of the country that is buying part of what we need in our own land. So, so now let's look at another one. So how many minutes? 3 hours. So we're going to wind down. But am I worried? These data that I've just come across, interfaith money benefit. Cocoa beans. Quite a lot of countries. One needed. Netherlands, official chocolate. Belgium needed. Indonesia needed. Malaysia needed. Netherlands, how do we now go and tell Netherlands to come and support the Yoruba nation when Netherlands is doing a great business in Nigeria to the tune of buying our cocoa? Ṣé tá a bá lọ bá Netherlands pé ẹ bá support the Yoruba nation, a ṣe deal, a ṣe new part, débi pé cocoa á máa dọ́dọ̀ tí yín kò ní ní problem, because some of them will be concerned pé tá a bá lọ break in Nigeria in táwọn need for the next 3 years. Àwọn lè má rí. So we're going to be talking about all these in more details. So in táwọn máa ṣe ni pé bí a crude oil la máa mú níjọ́ kan, a ṣe program lé lórí, a lọ sí the next one and the next one. Ẹ jẹ́ ká tún wò mí. Raw tobacco. Niger ló ra raw tobacco wa. Abáàtọ̀ ṣe ń ṣe trend lọ sọ́nà ọbẹ̀. Ghana, Togo, àwọn African countries there ló ràn lọ́wọ́ wa. UK 1.25%. Àwọn oúnjẹ wọn náà nínú Nàìjíríà yẹn. Abáàtọ̀ ìfẹ́ kí Nàìjíríà kò pín. Broadcasting equipment. Hungary, Netherlands, Hong Kong. Painting. America, 51.4. Belgium, 27. UK. So, táwa náà tún ṣe fake air ní sanri fake air lọ́dọ̀ tiwa náà ni. I don't understand. So, 3 hours is done. We're going to wind down so that I can go and take a break. Let me take myself out of the back end. Once again, appreciation to all the contribution. Appreciation to everyone that have also have their input into the program tonight. There is a lot of countries that might prefer our fair relationship with Nigeria, bottleneck in the but they're not going to come out officially and back any country to break away from Nigeria. Koiki, who is buying KILLION from the north. There are some things that they are also selling and we know that is going through the black market. But one thing about it is that Nigerians must realize that every region, even the north, has what they can sell to the world. So breaking up is not mean the end of the world. It just means that we can look at our resources and see that it works for the people, not for certain amount of people that is now more important to them than us. And on that note, as I leave us in the hands of Eledumare, I'm sure the 3 hours have not been wasted. Time spent with us. I'll be back over the weekend. I will try, in as much as I know the weekend is always a very busy one, but I will try to be out over the weekend. Even if it's just for a few hours, I will try. But I don't know when. So just keep those notifications on. You will definitely know if you are following us on all the platforms. The Yoruba people has what it takes to have their own independent country. But looking at the data Tamama explored the scene, it now shows that the task ahead is very big. Kò sí ìlú tó ní relationship with Nigeria. And some of them might have sympathy for the indigenous people. Pé ká gba country wa. Belgium kọ́ là ń wò lẹ́ẹ̀kan yẹn lára àwọn kéékèèké tá à ń wò lẹ́ẹ̀kan yẹn. Yeah, Belgium. Ṣé ẹ kí Belgium máa dictate power àbí kájọ máa dictate fúnra wa? The whole population of Belgium is not even up to Lagos State. Belgium is 11 million. Lagos State is 20-something million or thereabout. But yet, I think keep Nigeria rather than have our own independent country. Some of you will be connected within that export area, but in reality, not everybody will make it in that messed up country. And on that note, I say a very, very good morning. Happy New Month. Be careful with any post between now and the end of the day. Remember April Fool. So if you know about my listen, I'll go on Twitter, see what is trending, and my post will continue on Twitter and the social media. We play, you don't see IGBOHO, and then we'll come back, we'll play the anthem, and we call it a night. Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kan sí i. Odò agbéwà kò ní gbé ọ̀dàlẹ̀. Gbogbo àwọn tí wọ́n fi wá sínú òkùnkùn pé kí a má rí ọ̀nà kọjá. Àwa náà gbọ́dọ̀ sáré dáadáa ní ti ìlànà ìṣẹ̀ṣe, ní ti Kìrìsìtẹ́nì, ní ti Mùsùlùmí, bí olúkálukú bá ṣe mọ̀. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ẹ wà nínú Ramadan, ẹ bá wa fa gbogbo ìrìn àjò Yorùbá nation, ẹ bá wa fà lé Ọlọ́run lọ́wọ́ pé kó jẹ́ kó tètè ní àṣeyọrí. Ó fẹ́ ní àṣeyọrí but wọ́n ń fà padà. Ẹ̀mí òkùnkùn oríṣiríṣi ló ṣe operation nínú Nàìjíríà. Wọ́n dẹ̀ fẹ́ kí ìran Yorùbá kó bọ́ nínú ẹ̀. Wọ́n dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé tá bá ti bọ́, that is the end. A dẹ̀ máa bọ́ nínú ẹ̀ lágbára Ọlọ́run. and I've just so that I can make sure that I've just registered myself with that particular page, so that at least, like I said, we will make use of it as much as possible. So let me just show you that briefly, and then we'll play the anthem and we call it a morning. Where's mine? So as you can see there, I've just registered myself so that we can have as many of these information to play with. So it's I'm gonna play with not in Nigeria, and I'm sure there'll be a lot we can learn. There's a lot that will help us. But in Nigeria, so I know Nigeria is always somewhere. So it's a very important thing to have. Latest data. Interesting time ahead. Nigeria will be under N. So Nigeria is somewhere around this side. N countries. But we'll find it out anyway. I'll play around with it, and we will come back and we'll do a lot around with it. Once again, if it's a money here, mo kí gbogbo ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kan sí o. Orúkọ tèmi náà ni Ọláyọmí Koiki, tí gbogbo yín mọ̀ sí KOKIMEDIA, bringing the world closer to your doorsteps. Like I said, Nigeria will break, but we have a lot of work to do to make it break. I am making down to about 100 minutes. So, they are developing and the rest of our community.
Ẹyẹ gémi eré pa ẹfẹ́ yìí ní gbogbo nǹkan kò sẹ́ni kéde kò ṣe pa bẹ́ẹ̀ kọsẹ̀ kò lè rí òkú lọ́sítà ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ kò sómi ó kó lọ wà lọ ọdún mẹ́fà wọn lè ṣe eruku pàrọ̀ àdúgbò ta. ọmọ Oòduà ọ̀gá Fúlàní ọ̀gá Fúlàní ọ̀gá Fúlàní ló jẹ́ o. Yorùbá nation yìí ti gbogbo wa ni kó má gbọ́dọ̀ bàjẹ́. Torí kò sílùú mìíràn.
Life is so funny. You come with nothing. then fight for everything, and later leave everything and go back with empty hand. God is powerful.